All right, so step number one in the 10 ways to save during the holiday season is to make a plan. You know, many people do not like to use the word budget because they feel like a budget is restrictive and, you know, thinking that it doesn't allow them to do what they want to do with their money. But creating a holiday budget or making a plan, as we're going to call it now, that is very important. It is actually more than important. It is imperative to do during the holiday season. The reason for it is because this will assure that you do not overspend. By having a plan, you are essentially telling your money what to do opposed to it being in control. Because a lot of people go to these stores with their debit cards, their credit cards, and once they walk in, when you see that smart TV for $75, you have a TV though.
Yep, that's what I was gonna say too.
You got a TV.
Do you need it? Do you really when you step back and really think about it? If you was to not have a job, would you really go out your way to would you still do it?
Right.
Do you need that TV?
Right. Like you have right, exactly.
You got a 50. You got
a 50-inch TV.
You want the 70.
And then the 70 is 75% off. So you go buy a 70 that you can't even afford.
You don't need it. Where you gonna put it, my guy?
Exactly. But Black Friday for you, man. So because of that, we got to make sure that we have a plan. We got to make sure that we have a plan that we say, you know what, this is what my budget is. So for Black Friday, my budget is $500. My budget is whatever it is. Yeah. Make sure you have a budget and make sure that budget is not cutting into nothing else.
Yeah, for real.
Don't not pay your rent, right? Because you got to think about it. Black Friday is on the 24th this year, which means 6 more days is you know what I'm saying? So people got that rent money.
You got some of them
yes, do not use that rent money.
I'll get it back in a week.
Right, no,
bro.
No, don't do that.
Cutting hours next week.
Exactly, right. You don't even know. And we got a new president too, so you don't even
guys, down to 20 hours this week.
Exactly. We got a new president, so you don't even know how that's gonna affect, your pockets, your job. So you got to make sure that you keeping that money, keeping every coin. If I was you, I would skip out. I'm skipping out on Black Friday.
I don't.
I'm skipping out. I'm good.
I ain't got a house. Listen.
Yeah. I'm skipping out. All right. So step number two. In the 10 ways to save during the holiday season is to open a holiday spending account. And this is important. I'm going to tell you why it's important, right? One of the biggest mistakes that many people do during the holiday season is that they use their main checking account to do their holiday shopping. Doing this will allow you to possibly tap into money that is allocated for other important things like bills and savings. And so by opening up a holiday savings account or holiday spending account, you will allow yourself to never go over budget. Make sure that it's a free account that you're not paying any fees for, because that defeats the purpose, right? And then open that account and put your budget that we said in step 1 into that account and only use that account.
Don't go over, yeah.
Yeah, don't go over. Because, again, you might say, all right, you know what? My budget is $500. And now you leave that $500 in your main checking account that also happens to have that rent money in there, right?
And you go,
Then you go to the store and you rack up $500 worth of stuff.
It happens, yeah.
And then you look and then you like, oh, they got the new
remote. They got an extra remote for $44.
Exactly.
2 games for $60.
Exactly.
The bracket for the TV.
Exactly. Right. The bracket. You forgot the bracket.
It was $200. Well, I was $60.
Now, right. So I'm saving.
If I was you, I'll get this right now.
Right.
You can't wait till next week.
And now I'm saving. So now they're gonna get it, and now you just dipped into your rent money. So by having the separate savings account or the separate spending account, it alleviates you doing. And actually, I would even say, let me just make sure this is not one of the tips before I give this up. Wait, hold on. No, it is one of the tips, so I'm not gonna give it up.
Oh.
Right, I'm not gonna give it up.
Is it
expenses?
The last
store
tip,
coupons, creative. No, you know what? I could use this, right? Okay, yeah, no, I could say this, or even if it is one of the ones,
it's a
it
big
doesn't
one,
matter.
I wouldn't give it up.
It doesn't matter, right? But I would say bigger than opening up a separate account. And the reason why I say open up a separate account, just to be clear, is because you're protected. But if you feel like you can't help yourself, then use cash. And that's what I was going to say. I was making sure I didn't have that as one of the things. But use cash, right? And see, cash is a little dangerous, right? Because you out there Black Friday, you know what I mean? Stick up kids is out the tax, like some, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like you know what I mean? It's rough out here for a lot of people. So they out here, you know what I'm saying? Respect the jooks. They out here. And I know we talk about finances, but on that note, make sure you ain't on that line by yourself, baby. Right? Make sure you ain't on that line by yourself. Make sure you're traveling in more than one group.
For real.
That you just not.
Nah, that's for real. Because they be waiting and watching.
Absolutely.
They'll watch you go to your car and they'll scout out. They'll scout.
And some of the crooks got cars now.
Yeah.
So they might, the jukes might not happen, right? You know what I mean? It might not happen.
And that's what's crazy? That's the number one mistake.
Yeah.
If you go to a store that's just Best Buy,
yep,
it's different because you're going to get everything you need and then go.
Yep.
But if you go to the mall, you're going to typically want to go back to your car,
right,
put it in your car,
right,
and then go back for more.
Right.
More hands.
Right.
Don't do it.
Right.
Don't do it.
Right. Exactly.
You're going to come back, window busted, trunk wide open, somebody got a crowbar.
Exactly. Yo, this the season for the jukes.
You gotta respect it.
You gotta respect the jukes. So make sure you don't go out there by yourself. You're going out there with more than one person. Before you pull up to your house, make sure you circle around the block a couple of. Yo, I'm so serious, bro. Because no, this is serious. This is serious because if you got that 70-inch TV in that
don't
car,
put that box out in the back though.
Oh man, but that's even afterwards.
Yeah,
even
afterwards. Don't put that box out,
man.
Because dudes walk by and see that,
and they see that they know
70
exactly,
outside,
exactly. They know. I mean, they start scoping you out.
Blu-ray?
Right, exactly. They start scoping out which house to hit up. So make sure you take those precautions. So, but yeah, definitely open up a holiday spending account. Do not. I mean, if you can use cash, and this is what I was saying. Be precautious even in using cash because if you use cash, you could get stuck up before you get in. Using your debit card at least makes sure that you are not gonna get stuck up. All right, step number 3 in the 10 ways to save during the holiday season is track your spending. Right, tracking your spending. Using a spending log to avoid overspending in any one category is important because even with a budget, if you are not paying attention to what you are spending your money on, you may make the grave mistake of forgetting some important pieces of your holiday shopping. This usually forces people to make decisions that they may not want to make, like tapping into credit or using money that is not allocated for holiday shopping. Using a spending log will keep your spending exactly where you want it to be. A lot of people go out there and they say, you know what? I have this budget. I know it's going to be $500 I'm spending on Black Friday. I opened up my account. I have this account, the $500 in the account. But now they go out and they see that 70-inch, which is on their list. Maybe let's say it was on their list to buy a TV, but the TV that they bought, the 70-inch that they bought, cost $200, and their budget says that they needed, they had $100 for a TV, right? So now buying that TV for $200, even though the regular price was $500, and you're saving 80% off.
Overall, you're not saving.
You're not saving.
You're definitely cutting.
Right? Because the budget was 100 and you wind up using that 20, that 200. So make sure that you have a spending list. You track your spending. So as you spend, you have the different categories too. Like these are the different categories that I'm spending money on, and this is what percentage goes to each category.
This is the cap. Okay, yeah.
You know what I mean?
I understand that.
All right. Number 4 in the 10 ways to save during the holiday season. And this one, it might be too late for this one because you literally 5 days in. But step number 4 says cut back on expenses. And what that means is that, when you cut back on your expenses during the holiday season or even before the holiday season begins, it'll give you more money to allocate towards the holidays, right?
Yeah.
So whether it's a, temporary cutback on, cable, not eating out as much, saving on your discretionary spending, just these cutbacks will give you money. And this is money that you would normally spend anyway, but cutting back will give you that money to spend towards the holiday. So even up until maybe, if you are adamant that, I want to spend money during Thanksgiving or during Black Friday, maybe you cut back on how big your Thanksgiving is going to be.
That's rough.
I hear you, but
that's rough.
But what's the alternative? Because I don't want people going into debt. I help people with their debt. What the FICO 12 steps to repairing your credit in stores now. Pick that up.
That's true.
But I don't want people going into debt. I don't want you, because here's the deal, right? If you go into debt for Black Friday, you will probably be negating your savings anyway. Yeah. So if you buy a $500 TV and it's on sale for $200 and you buy it for $200 and you put that on your credit card, if you don't pay off that $200 soon, the interest rate
might exceed
$500. So you'll wind up paying that money anyway. So it's not really a real savings, right? So I don't want you to listen, listeners. I really do not want you to go into debt on Black Friday. I want you to have it planned out, and this is why I want you to have a budget. I want you to, or before you even make a budget, right? I want you to make a plan. I want you to say, this is the plan that I have. These are the people I'm going to be spending money on. This is the gifts that I need. You're going to create your budget. You're going to open up an account and put that budget, that money that's supposed to go towards your holiday budget in that account. And then you're going to track your spending. And if you can, we got 5 days left. But if you can, cut back on your expenses, right? So tonight, if you don't feel like cooking, instead of going to the Chinese store and getting, chicken wings, French fries for the family and spending that $20, go to Costco's or BJ's and
or Fine Fare. They have a nice sardine and crackers.
Exactly.
$4.
Eat some crackers.
Sardine.
You know what I mean? Some sardines, tuna fish.
Salt and pepper.
Get some sliced turkey.
For real. Nah, the struggle is real. And it tastes good.
Exactly.
Brings back memories.
Ramen noodles. You go to BJ's. You get a whole case of
the whole case of
ramen noodles.
For real.
And maybe you thug it out. Maybe you eat the ramen noodles for 4 days. Cause think about that. If you spend on average $25 a day, 4 days, bro. That's $100. That's an extra $100.
Yeah,
you get pair of Tim's.
Yeah, and you just eating it. So.
Right, exactly. You're gonna eat it, and you don't have to gross nobody out. But then it's what comes in must come out.
It's done after that.
Exactly.
It's a reminder.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So that may be it. All right. Number 5 is take advantage of store offers and coupons. So if you're just tuning in, this is the 10 ways to save during the holiday season. If you have ways, because I'm going to, after this one, we're going to take a music break, and I'll give you the other 5 in the second half. But if you have a way that I didn't say yet, give us a call, 212-650-6903. But step number 5 is take advantage of store offers and coupons, right? So step number 1, make a plan. Step number 2, open up a holiday spending account. Step number 3, track your spending. Step number 4, cut back on expenses. And step number 5, take advantage of store offers and coupons. And this is important because taking advantage of store offers and coupons, it should be a given, but you'll be surprised at how many people pay full price for things during the holiday season. Many people feel like they are competing against other shoppers to get the best gifts, so they don't spend the time necessary to find the best deals. Don't believe the hype. The things that you want to buy during the holiday seasons can be found other places if you take your time. Even if you can't find it locally, you will probably find better deals if you search online. Also, There are many websites that are dedicated to finding consumer deals, so make sure you check them out before you spend a dime. And that's important because if you watch television, TV is going to make you feel like I need to be at the store. The 7 a.m. doorbusters, like some stores are even opening up at midnight.
Yeah. The line, yo, I'm telling you, it's real. Ash.
They opening
Best
up.
Buy. I remember Best Buy around Stanford Boulevard down by Target.
Yep.
I remember the line. Ash, the line was down the block, up the block, into Mount Vernon, way up. My cousin had to park about 4 or 5 blocks up, and then get on that line and. Nah,
Right,
bro. I'm like, yo, Brody, you got a TV.
Right.
You got a TV. You got a mount.
Right.
But he just had to. And here's the kicker. He wanted me to help him carry it. Bro, you're bugging, my guy. I can't watch it with you.
Right.
I mean, you inviting me.
Right. Exactly. No Netflix and chill for me. You know what I mean? Yeah. So now, definitely, make sure that you take advantage of the online sales, and that's the thing, right? Because television will have you feel like, yo, I have to do this now. I have to buy this now. But I'm pretty sure if you search online, you could still find discounts. You can still look online, find discounts, and in the privacy of your own home.
And not to like OD, because I know it's like it's a big stigma with the black community about taxes.
Yeah.
But tax season is literally around the corner.
That's true.
You're gonna be able to afford it. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna some getting 5, 6, 3, 4 racks.
Yep.
You're gonna be able to afford $1,000 to buy this and buy that, and regenerate.
I mean, I don't know if I approve that message because I don't want people spending their tax money either. But I get that point.
I don't need nobody like ODing on their finances.
And I was about to say that I'd rather you use your tax money that's yours than to use a credit card.
Use your credit card and this, that, and the third, and then you mess up on bills and end up using your tax money to recuperate from what happened.
That's true.
That makes
true.
no sense.
That is absolutely
true.
That's absolutely true.
It makes no sense.
You make a great point, M. Dot. You make a great point.
Thank you.
All right, so that's the 5. We're gonna take a quick music break, but that is the 5 ways that you can save during the holiday season. When we come back, I'm gonna give you number 6 to 10, but here's a recap. Number 1, make a plan, which means create a budget. Number 2, open up a holiday spending account so that way you're not robbing Peter to pay Paul. Number 3, track your spending. Make sure that you're tracking your spending. I think we have a call. Track your spending. Number 4, cut back on your expenses. Again, you got 4 more days left, so you can cut back on your expenses. Number 5, take advantage of store offers and coupons. Make sure you take advantage of those. But those are the 5 ways that you can save during the holiday season. Do we have a call, M. Dot? All right, so cool. We do have a call. Let's bring the caller up.
No problem.
Hi, caller. How you doing? You're on the air with Ash Cash and M. Dot, the Ash Cash Show. What's your name and what's your question?
James, I'm calling from Queens, and I like to say we have to start patronizing our black-owned businesses.
Oh, man. I appreciate you, brother, because that wasn't on my list. But talk to us about that, James.
Because it's important that we have to support our black businesses because we're sick and tired of spending money to places we are not liked. They just want to use our money to oppress us. We need to take that money, help build more jobs, put more people together to work. These politicians have lied to us, and they have
Hey, James, they've been lying for years, James.
Collectively.
Absolutely. No, I agree, and thank you so much for for that comment. For telling us about that because I definitely agree. You definitely have to spend money in your community. Whatever community that is, spend money in your community. Make sure that you are allowing that dollar to circulate because when you think about the jobs, again, we joked a little bit about the new president, but the truth of the matter is that we don't know what's going to happen to jobs, right? So, and so if you're spending that money, and people don't even realize the reason why it's called Black Friday is because they take black people's money. And I'm joking. That's not true. The reason I'm joking. That's a joke. Doom, right? The reason why it's called the reason why it's called Black Friday is because in accounting, right? There's an accounting term that if you're in the red, that means you're losing money. If you're in the black, that means you're gaining money, that you're profitable. And so most stores are in the red most of the year. So on this Friday, it's their last attempt to be in the black for the year. So they call it Black Friday because it's because they're gonna deeply discount everything to try to sell as much things as possible, so that way at the end of the year they're going to now have their books are going to be in the black
because they already have the items.
Exactly, and that's why that's why they call it Black Friday. So you have to, if you're going to help somebody get into the black, it should be people from your community, people who care about your community, people who are going to invest back into your community, people who are going to create jobs in your community. All right, James, we appreciate the question and the call and the comment. We're going to take a quick music break, but we'll be back with steps number 6 to 10 on ways that you could save during the holiday season. This is Ash Cash, Mr. Shima Jones, M. Dot, the Ash Cash Show.
You're now tuned into the financial motivator himself, Ash Cash, Mr. Mind Right, Money Right.
Yeah. 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 So I could start my life over again. Sometimes you gotta let it go just to make it possible. Sometimes you gotta do it, be willing to lose it. Freedom has no price, you know. Thinking how we gonna make it now, how we gonna feed the babies now. But we gonna make it through it, God gonna see to it. Just get up and do it now. I would pawn you my watch, I would pawn chain. I would pawn you this golden diamond ring. Cause I need it so bad, I would give you everything, so I could start my life over, so I can start all over. Get on up, hey, get on up, hey, get on up, hey, get on up, hey, get on up. See, I learned the hard way. Now I'm doing it my way. Cause life is too short to fall in New York. Can't get up and get away. So I gotta let it all go. Start back from zero. Cause I give it up, I don't give up. Cause love is my hero. I would pawn you my watch, I would pawn you my chain, I would pawn you this golden diamond ring. This golden ring. Cause I need it so bad, I would give you everything, just so I could start my life over. I can start all over. I would pawn you my watch, I would pawn you my chain, I would pawn you this golden diamond ring. Cause I need it so bad, I would give you everything, just so I could start my life over again. Get on up, hey, get on up, hey, get on up, hey, get on up, hey, get on up. So
I finished. For those who doubted me, yeah, this is payback. And I've been on my grizzy, yeah, since way back. No sir, and I don't drive a Maybach. But guess what I did? I finished paying, selling Maybach. 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 My name is D1. Let me tell you what I've been through when it come to Saturday. Sally. She call me at least twice a day, she want our money badly. Calling me from different numbers, ooh, she think she slick. But I got them all memorized, I hit ignore quick. Needed tuition, needed room and board. Had to pay for books, so I took out loans to feed the boy. Graduated, wasn't making quite enough to pay him back. Went in default, messed my credit up, check my Equifax. I ain't proud of that, I'm more proud of that. I ain't drowning that. I got 2 jobs, really got on my grind. No time to whine, I can't ride the pine. In the game right now, my time to shine. Started paying them loans back one at a time. Got them down, 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 till I paid them all off. Peace sign. For those who doubted me, yeah, this is payback. And I've been on my grizzy, yeah, since way back. No sir, and I don't drive a Maybach. But guess what I did? I finished paying, selling Maybach. Maybach. 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 Love. Walk inside my crib, yeah, you know I just had a long day. Just got off of work, they got me drove. My boss kept me late. Walk inside the kitchen, grab a dish, and then I fix a plate. Bread, beans, and rice on a Monday. Then I sit down on the sofa, grab the remote, and turn on the news. Open up my laptop, kick off my shoes. I see that I got an email from Sally Mae. Did another month pass that I forgot to pay? Oh no, hope this email ain't wrong. It said congratulations on paying back your student loans. I took a screenshot, boy, I had to save that. Then I hit my homeboy like, I finished paying, selling Maybach. Maybach. 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 Look, is it $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, or maybe it's more? Is it $80,000, $90,000, $100,000? How much do you owe? Is it $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, or maybe it's more? Is it $80,000, $90,000, $100,000? How much do you owe? For those who doubted me, yeah, this is payback. And I've been on my grizzy, yeah, since way back. No sir, and I don't drive a Maybach. But guess what I did? I finished paying, selling Maybach. Maybach. I finished paying, selling Maybach. Maybach. I finished paying, selling Maybach. Maybach. I finished paying, selling Maybach. Maybach.
You are now tuned in to the Ash Cash Show, your number one source for financial motivation. Get your mind and your money right.
We are back, the Ash Cash Show, every Sunday, 1 p.m., WHCR 90.3 FM, New York, the voice of Harlem with Ash Cash, Mr. Shima Jones, and M. Dot on the boards. All right, so we gave you, today we're talking about Black Friday, and we want to make sure that you are not overspending during the holiday season. So we are giving you 10 ways to save during the holiday season. So we gave you steps 1 through 5. So now we are giving you steps 6 through 10. Step number 6 is to be creative. Being creative is about understanding that you don't have to spend an arm and a leg in order to show your loved ones that you care. There are many people who may appreciate the thought that goes into maybe handcrafting a gift or buying something that they did not expect you to buy. Being thoughtful can have a lasting and more memorable effect that does not break the bank. So be creative. And now, what do you think about that? What if you got a gift from your loved ones that maybe didn't cost a lot, but it was like really thoughtful? Would you?
That's good for me.
Yeah,
that's good enough for me. I don't really, I try to dodge. I'm more about what I need. I'm more
Absolutely.
about what I need. I'm less of the want. And sometimes you have to also like. I also see the negatives. Mm-hmm. So I like to also say, okay, if I get this now, and just so happen next week, I get hit by a car and I can't work. Do I have a week's pay in my account for next week or for 2 weeks? Is this TV really that important?
Absolutely, yeah.
Is this remote really that
cracking
important?
down on the TV system.
Like, I'm, you know what I mean? Like, Not that big of a deal. No, because like the way it's set up, you buy a TV, Then before you know it, somebody's saying, "Hey, if you buy that TV, the bundle set is for $350." Then it's like, okay, do $350. Then it's the 2 games for $85. And before you know it, you're like, okay, yeah. And before
these are skilled salespeople too.
I'm telling you, they're really
like
good.
That's what they do every day.
Once you
like
get one,
they bring out and I know this from speaking to people who work in retail that they bring out their best sellers on that day.
It's a $1 billion day. It's a $1 billion day, bro.
That the people they got the best customer service, they got the best everything. They got the best people who know how to tell you to buy it, moving quick. So all right, so number 6, be creative. Number 7, set expectations. I think this is a big one, right? Because setting expectations is really important, because if your loved ones feel as if you are going to spend a lot of money on them, they may feel obligated to do the same for you and vice versa. So having a conversation early on about what the gift limits are will allow both parties to not overspend nor feel guilty or embarrassed if one party doesn't reciprocate on being lavish. So I'll give you an example. If my budget, let's say you're in a relationship, and that's usually where it happens, whether it's the relationship, whether it's the kids. If your budget is like, you know what, I can't spend more than $100 on my wife this year, and she's like, yo, I'm going all out, and she buys something for $1,000, how I'm going to look coming home with $100 gift and she got $1,000 gift, right? And so that way, we need to have the conversation. I need to say, hey, baby, we stick into $100 or less this year, or this is what is within the budget. And even with your kids, man, because this happens, I think more so adults are getting a little better at like the whole Christmas and holiday and trying to get everything that they can. But kids, they watch television. They're in competition with the people in their school, so they want the best things, so they're asking for the best gifts. And so if you don't set their expectations early, you could be setting your pockets up, right? So you gotta let your kids know early on, like, hey, such and such, this is how much, this is the price range. So as they're asking for things throughout, like, oh, I want this, oh, I want that, oh yeah, that's good, but that's $400.
For real.
Oh yeah, no, I like that too, but that's $200.
80 gig.
80, you know what I'm saying, right? So you have to let them know. You have to let them know early on. Listen, this costs X amount of money, and so by doing that, by setting the expectations, you allow yourself to make sure that you're not going over. All right, number 8, lower your decoration costs. Just similar to what we talked about earlier, when you think about food costs. Decoration costs is something as well, right? Yeah. During the holiday, people like to decorate. They want to get the big tree.
That's the big hitter, though.
Oh, my God,
That's
right?
The big hitter.
They want to get the tree. They want to get all these different things. But you may feel inclined to go all out for decorations. But if you are crafty enough, you can save a lot of money by creating or repurposing decorations. The price of holiday decorations are inflated during the holiday time, so buying your decorations during the off-season can save you money. Also, finding a holiday theme that may not necessarily be about the holidays can save you money in your pocket. So, make sure that you're not overspending on decorations. Number 9, use technology. Technology is a great way to cut back on expenses during the holiday season, because instead of buying a physical card, then going to the post office and mailing it out, maybe use an e-card, where you could be more effective to show love to friends and family in an economical way. And then lastly, number 10, remember the reason for the season. And this is important, right? Yep. Because remembering that the holiday season is not all about gift giving. Sometimes your presence is better than your present. Right? The holiday season is about family and friends and should be cherished in that way. Yep. Not only will you give someone that cannot, you will give something that cannot be bought, you also remind those around you the power of love. Remember the reason for the season. All right, so let me give you the 10 ways again. Step number 1, make a plan. Step number 2, open a holiday spending account. Step number 3, track your spending. Step number 4, cut back on expenses. Step number 5, take advantage of store offers and coupons. Step number 6, be creative. Step number 7, set expectations. Step number 8, lower your decoration costs. Step number 9, use technology. And lastly, step number 10, remember the reason for the season. All right, we're going to take a quick music break, and we'll be back. This is Ash Cash, Mr. Shima Jones, M. Dot, the Ash Cash Show.
You're now tuned in to the financial motivator himself, Ash Cash, Mr. Mind Right, Money Right. Money Right. Money Right.
I hope you take this well. I wake up in the morning thinking riches and wealth. I keep my mind focused, I ain't trying to take L's, cause I'm trying to get it just to feed myself. Well, I hope you take this well. I wake up in the morning thinking riches and wealth. I keep my mind focused, I ain't trying to take L's, cause I'm trying to get it just to feed myself. Well, your off-brand style was cool for a while until the world met me and blew like a trial. Copy the plea, won't work for me. I've been indicted a few times and done copped the two. Missed a flight in a plane, check my altitude. Gangsta motherfucker, that's the attitude. Rollie on my wrist like it's 92. Diamond TP, that's what cash will do. When goons is in the house, tell me what you do. You better grab yourself a shank and grab a two, or be the topic of discussion on the 10 o'clock news. My 10 o'clock views bring Mac 11 wounds. I hope you take this well. I wake up in the morning thinking riches and wealth. I keep my mind focused, I ain't trying to take L's, cause I'm trying to get it just to feed myself. Well, I hope you take this well. I wake up in the morning thinking riches and wealth. I keep my mind focused, I ain't trying to take L's, cause I'm trying to get it just to feed myself. Well, I keep a rainy day stash in case I need that there. On the road to the riches, breathing panoramic air. Young getting there, I just don't care. Doggy dog world, yeah, life ain't fair, but still I gotta push a couple bands in my bank account, so no checks bounce. I got it mapped out. Game face on like I'm running routes. Info in the draft, so I'm cashing out. $1 million on my schedule, that's what I'm about. Self-made, getting self-paid. I need that chicken in that Gatorade. A lot of ones on a day-to-day, cause anything else will be a nightmare. Do take this well. I wake up in the morning thinking riches and wealth. I keep my mind focused, I ain't trying to take L's, cause I'm trying to get it just to feed myself. Well, I hope you take this well. I wake up in the morning thinking riches and wealth. I keep my mind focused, I ain't trying to take L's, cause I'm trying to get it just to feed myself. Well,
Welcome to Ask Ash Cash. You have questions? He has an answer. Ask Ash Cash.
How can I get out of debt?
Is this a good time to buy a house?
What's a good credit score?
It's a 401k.
Yo, who's Dow Jones?
So we are back. This is the Ask Ash Cash segment of the show where you ask your questions. We have answers. Remember, if you have any questions, you could call us live, 212-650-6903. You can email us questions at imashcash.com, or you can also hit us up via Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, using the hashtag AskAshCash. M. Dot, what question do we have from the people?
Oh, yes. Well, I have a question for the Ask Cash. How to stay positive and happy during the holiday season?
That's a great question, especially because, you know, a lot of what we talked about, you know, the 10 ways to save money, things of that nature. You know, the holiday season can be a depressing time for some, right? And for different reasons. One could be you don't have any money, right? You don't have the funds to enjoy the holiday season. You may have lost somebody, right? That's a real thing, right? A lot of times people may have lost a loved one, or a loved one may be sick, or you know, you're not around the people that you want to be around. So it can be a time where people feel down, not feeling, rather happy, not feeling, optimistic. And so for me, I would say the way to stay positive during the holiday season is just, surrounding yourself with love. Surrounding yourself with love, making sure that you're around the people who love you for you, unconditional. They don't love you because of what you can give them. They don't love you because of what you have or what you can do for them. They love you unconditionally. And making sure that you make time for those people, it's very, very important. Not just on the holiday season, but just period. Just always making time for people because, I'm guilty of it as well, man, where, I work a lot, and a lot of times, I don't make time, for my friends. I don't make time for my family. I don't make time for my sister who, like that's my ride or die. Like, she has held me down through my whole life, and sometimes I feel like, man, I need to make more time. And I always say, and it's funny because I joke, right? When I speak to somebody and they be like, oh, I haven't spoken to you for a while, I be like, blame it on the grind, not the heart, right? Because I'm telling them that it's not really my heart, it's the grind. But that's no excuse, you definitely want to make sure that you spend time with people you love, first and foremost, and that's one way to stay positive. The other way too, and this is something I learned in the Dale Carnegie book, How to Win Friends, Influence People, is you got to give back. I think giving back during the holiday season is important because if you're feeling down, if you're feeling depressed, there's usually somebody out there that is doing worse than you.
Yeah, a lot worse.
And I'm not, it may sound wrong the way I'm saying it, but finding somebody who is doing worse than you is going to give you gratitude for what you're probably complaining about, because the guy who's upset that he doesn't have new shoes has to find the guy who doesn't have feet.
For real. Wow.
Right? Because you think about that. There's people out there who can't walk. And so you're upset because you don't have new shoes. So I would just say give, help. If you feel depressed during the holiday season, maybe go around and give out some food. There's some shut-in seniors out there that need you.
Yeah, side note, is there a problem? I don't know. I signed up to donate in Harlem and 34th Street. They turned me down. They sent me back an application saying that we don't need your services. So I don't know if I was like...
Yeah, they're looking for people who don't have records. No, I'm joking. No, I don't know. I don't know if there's a surplus of volunteers out there. I don't know what that's about.
I got happy and they to me.
Did you send a picture? Did you maybe?
No, I didn't.
Maybe they.
Trying to cut.
No, I'm just saying. If you sent them a picture, they was like, "Wait, hold on." Did you what email did you use? Did you use Dimples for Days?
Word, I think that's a fact. I think.
You probably sent them the wrong email.
It was like, yo, nah,
we good. You should have sent them your real. That's why you gotta have new emails with.
It was like, yo, we have kids here.
Yeah, we have kids. Dimples for Days. Nah, we good. you gotta check the email you sent it from.
Back.
All right, cool. All right, so this is our time.
Boy.
I had fun with you today, bro.
Yeah,
I appreciate you. I appreciate you. You know what I mean? We just slapped 5 just for the radio land out there.
Okay.
You know what I mean? They couldn't hear it.
They heard it.
But my man M. Dot, man, I'm proud of you, bro. And I just wanted to say that, man.
Thank you,
You know what I mean? My man M. Dot has come a long way. And in all seriousness, like a year and a half ago, he was like, yo, I want to do this radio thing. And he's really been stepping up his game. He's, doing board op for me, board op on the next show, potentially the other show. Like, he's really stepping his game up. And that's good to be able to see somebody who starts out saying, hey, I have this dream, I want to do this thing, and then be able to take it to the next level. So, no doubt, my bro. All right, y'all, so that's my time. Make sure you visit me, IamAshCash.com. Become my friend on Facebook, Facebook.com/IamAshCash. Follow me on Twitter, Twitter.com/IamAshCash. And I'll see you next week. Same time, same place.
Peace.
You are now tuned in to the Ash Cash Show, your number one source for financial motivation. Get your mind and your money right.
And healthy foods, are fresh fruits and vegetables inaccessible and unaffordable? Make a difference in your neighborhood and your health by joining Harlem Grown. Harlem Grown is a nonprofit organization that aims to educate and instill wellness, healthy living, and accessibility within its community. Offering a number of extensive and supportive programs, Harlem Grown works towards educating youth and volunteers on using organic methods. They cultivate and distribute a variety of dark leafy green vegetables and fruits that you may not be able to find at your local grocery store or bodega. Help Harlem Grown achieve its mission of a sustainable, healthy, and educated community. Take food justice into your own hands. Donate or volunteer your time today to cultivate a healthier tomorrow for all Harlem residents. For more information, visit harlemgrown.com or call 212-870-0113.
This is a guided meditation on parenting. Take this time to breathe deeply and close your eyes. Right now, you're completely in control. Unlike the time you and your son played basketball and you attempted to slam dunk, or when you tried removing those raccoons from the basement. Concentrate on the soothing sound of my voice. Release the memory of when you wrestled with that beehive in your son's treehouse. Let go of the time you thought that skunk was a cat, or when you pulled into the garage with your son's bike on top of the car. Deep breaths. Deep breaths.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you. For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
CNN.com recently named New York City as the most stressful city in the United States because of the high cost of living, long commutes, and overcrowded conditions. Some New Yorkers combat stress with exercise and fun activities in Central Park. But if stress has become too overwhelming for you to cope with, there is help. Harlem Hospital has an outpatient clinic that can help you deal with stress, alcoholism, anger management, and substance abuse. Seminars and workshops are held at Harlem Hospital on West 137th Street between Lenox and Fifth Avenues on the 4th floor. Workshops are held Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to noon. Call 212-939-3210 for more information.
The Community Emergency Response Team, or CERT of New York City, provides assistance in preparing and recovering from emergencies. CERT assists first responders and provides staffing for city shelters in response to disasters and extreme weather conditions. City College is one of the many locations for hurricane evacuation. CERT team members are local and live amongst the community, so they are always there for the people. CERT members will speak to any organization about emergency planning for the elderly, children, and the disabled. They offer workshops in creating go bags, emergency communication, and evacuation plans, and shelter-in-place kits. To learn how to prepare for emergencies, call South Harlem CERT at 917-406-6661.
On the next episode of Recipes for Disaster.
So we've got our neighbor Paul coming over tonight for a barbecue, which is why I prepared a delicious lemon rosemary steak marinade from my special collection of old family recipes. To make sure the steaks are extra, extra, extra tender, I left them marinating out on the counter overnight, just like Nana used to.
Maria may mean well, but without food safety, it never ends well. Always thaw or marinate foods in the refrigerator at 40 degrees Fahrenheit or below, or you could make your friends and family really sick. Maria's neighbor Paul didn't think twice about the steak he ate until he was presenting his company's financial forecast to the board. That's when a sudden bout of food poisoning made it explicitly clear that profits weren't the only thing on the rise. Watch Recipes for Disaster at foodsafety.gov. You'll learn the right steps as Maria does everything wrong.
Harlem has its own radio station. WHCR 90.3 FM. The voice of Harlem.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, global tribe of disruptors. Happy, happy, happy Sunday. It is Sunday. You are listening to Coach Nick and the Dudes of Disruption. This is Nick Papadopoulos, author, speaker, and facilitator around transformational topics, and an absolutely committed disruptor. Why we're here, folks? We are here because we are committed to awakening humanity to leave their mark in the world and to get connected to something much, much larger than ourselves. We deliver transformation and disruption in the areas of leadership development, culture engagement, and team dynamics. And Coach Nick and the Dudes of Disruption have a men's group here in New York City, folks. More to come on that because one of our guests in the show, Pavel Lempert, he's part of our men's group. Our next men's group, by the way, is tomorrow night, November 21st. And then come on December 5th also as a guest, or December 19th. If you're interested in being part of a community where you're bringing your A game, being in service, and learning about yourself and being in service to the world, then come and hang out with the Dudes of Disruption men's group. We're a pretty cool group of cats. Or dudes.
Agreed.
Yeah, you agree?
100%.
That's Pavel, by the way.
Hey.
So, Pavel, we're here to talk about, today's show is how to become the artist of your life. How to become the artist of your life. Folks, the game is made up. So you might as well make up a game that lights you up and that unleashes you and serves and changes the world. So today we're going to be talking about how to become the artist of your life. Our show, Pavel, includes a Say What section. That's segment 2.
Say what?
Say what? Where we bring an article into the conversation that relates to our topic. We have Coach Carrie Turner calling in. That's our Ask a Dudette section, right? We have Parting Shots in the 4th segment. We have Pavel Lempert, who's from Drum Cafe. We have, as I mentioned already, Coach Carrie Turner. Please call in at 212-650-6903. We have a bunch of folks online. You're listening to us today, WHCR 90.3. That's on the FM dial, like freaking amazing, right? FM 90.3, WHCR, freaking amazing. And you can also watch and listen to us online at WHCR.org. Or you've got us online here, Facebook, Nick Papadopoulos. Okay, we start every show, Pavel. We start every show with Nick's riff.
Go. I know that, dude.
Say you want a revolution. Well, you know, we all want to change the world. You tell me that it's evolution.
All right, Global Tribe, we are talking about how to become the artist of your life. Nick's riff starts off with that song, Revolution, and a quote. I've got 2 quotes today, Pavel.
Wow.
We have Pavel Lempert from Drum Cafe in the house.
Bada boom.
In the dude's house. So the first quote is from Walt Disney. I love this one. I only hope that we don't lose sight of one thing, ... that it was all started by a mouse. By Walt Disney, right? Talk about becoming the artist of your life. He literally sketched a mouse. And look what we have now. And by the way, what we have now is not just Disney and its different properties around the world. Disney represents the opportunity and the space to create magic for people. And don't we need magic anytime, right? Here's the second quote I got. I'm going to do a double doozy this time. I usually just do one.
I'm ready.
We got an online comment saying, finally seeing you live, Nick, with a thumbs up. All right. Cool. Thanks for the online comments. Bring more of them in. Here's the second quote. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are usually the ones who do. That's from the Apple commercial from the 1990s. We're actually going to play a clip for that in the second segment, so stay tuned if you're on WHCR 90.3 FM or you're online watching us. So I was a history major, Pavel, at NYU. And one of the things that I've really enjoyed about this political climate that we've been in, and we've been in a pretty unique one, would you say?
I'm glad you're enjoying it.
I'm a little delirious from it, I think, at this point. I think my head's spinning a bit. And at the same time, one of the good news, one of the silver linings for me personally, I think for a lot of people, because the conversation has risen to new levels. The level of consciousness about who we are, what we want, has risen, which I think fits very nicely inside of this conversation about becoming the artist of your life. And the thing I was reminded of, and why I took history as a major at NYU back in the day, is I was reminded that our founding fathers of our nation were forward-thinking artists. I really do. I think they were artists. They were visionaries who were driven by ideas and ideals to create a new kind of government, one that had never existed before. Talk about the game is made up. You're going to go make up a game on your own, right? And they made up a game that was formed by desire and choice for a new culture of freedom. Like, it was like freedom was front and center for them. So, Global Tribe, here's a question for you. Where have you been the founding father of something in your life, like the birth of our nation? Where have you been the founding father? When you look around your life, relationships, family, business, finances, where in your life can you become? Where is there an opportunity to become the artist of your life so you get to be a founding father and unleash something amazing in your world and in the world around you? The world is a demand for a new way of thinking. It always has been, it always will, and certainly in this climate that we're in right now, the world is a demand for new artists to appear. Look around your home, your career, your community, your environment, education, politics. It's everywhere. There's an opportunity for you to become the artist of your life. Listen, I want to pay a little homage as we get into this conversation to our founding fathers, because they were bad. They were bad. They were real cool dudes. I mean, they were revolutionists.
That's why they call it the revolution.
Is that why they call it the revolution?
I believe so.
This is why, folks, we have Pavel Lempert on the show from Drum Cafe.
And I was a poli-sci major, so
okay,
you know,
maybe that's why we get along so well. History, poli-sci, they're first cousins, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So what I loved about our founding fathers, again, think about our founding fathers. Like, we take it for granted, I think, sometimes. I know I have. They created something out of nothing. Like, it wasn't like they had something and then they said, let's go do this, right? America was born out of three revolutionary ideas, right? And one of them was this yearning, this thirst that the founding fathers had for freedom. I just mentioned that a few minutes ago, but this thing around freedom, right? James Madison once said, "This promised land is an asylum to the persecuted and oppressed of every nation and every religion." Thomas Jefferson wrote, he made this up. Thomas Jefferson wrote in the Declaration of Independence, "All men are created equal." How radical was that? So radical, especially in 1776 or thereabouts when he wrote that in the Declaration of Independence. So the revolution, the founding fathers had three revolutionary ideas. One of them was this thirst for freedom. And so they designed a government and a system that would allow for the government to protect life, liberty, and property from what they call man's innate capacity to do evil things, much like King George III and England had been doing to them here, right, in what would become the United States. But here's what's so brilliant about them. And again, I want you guys to start thinking about this story as it relates to your lives. What was brilliant about them was they said freedom is number one, and then they created the Declaration of Independence, for example. And then they said, but you know what? People can get kind of wonky. They can get kind of evil, especially if they have too much power. So let's design a government that has three branches of government to create a checks and balances, right? Let's create an electoral college. Let's give the president veto power. Let's actually give the system an opportunity to impeach a president or officials if they go overboard, right? Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. And then there's a third idea that the founding fathers created what our nation now is that they empowered people. What they said was that a democratic republic requires a special kind of culture where people have a passion for liberty, like a commitment to liberty, where people are teaching themselves about the values of liberty and to never take what we have for granted. Think how radical that was in the 1700s. These are people who were used to a king and a monarchy and a very compliant environment where people waited for the king and the queen and parliament and the dictator and the rulers to tell them what to do. These guys are actually saying, we want to empower people. You know, I wrote an article once called Leadership at All Levels. And leadership at all levels is regardless of who you are, regardless of what your title is, how long you've been working at a company, how much money you make or how little you make, what your responsibilities are, how many people you manage or don't manage. Everybody is the king or the queen in their company. That's how you have a great company, is leadership at all levels. These guys were so radical. They were basically saying everyone in this country gets to have a voice. So Global Tribe, where are you wanting to become the artist of your life and you're getting in the way, or something is getting in the way? I'll end one last point here, Pavel, and I'll bring you into this conversation. John Adams once said that it was the change in principles, opinions, sentiments, and affections of Americans that sparked the revolution. They considered that new culture of freedom that had risen among them in the decades prior to, along with this idea of the new Constitution and the Declaration of Independence that they created, to be the most precious gift that they would then share to future generations and to future U.S. citizens. That vision offers us today an example that can serve as a guide for this conversation, more importantly beyond this conversation, by which to use for designing and creating anything in your life. So, Pavel, I have a question for you.
Yes.
You did a TED Talk, okay?
Yeah.
We have Pavel Lempert from Drum Cafe. Pavel, you did a TED Talk where the talk I believe you were sharing with me revolved around possibilities.
Mhm.
How does this relate to what we're talking about? You know, we're talking about the Founding Fathers creating something out of nowhere. And we're talking about the show is called How to Become the Artist in Your Life. Tell us about your TED Talk.
Well, essentially, it's the main concept of the TED Talk was about yes and, which is
Yes and.
Yes and.
Okay.
So in improv theater and musical jamming, it's about taking someone's idea,
Right.
and not saying no, not saying maybe,
Right.
saying yes,
Right.
and
Yes.
then you move it along.
I love
so
it.
not to contradict you, but our founding fathers, it wasn't out of nothing. They drew from history,
Mhm.
and they said yes,
And.
and so it's an opportunity of coming from a place of creation, creating something, and building.
Right.
Most importantly, moving things forward.
Gotcha. What area of your life have you always wanted to be an artist? Or maybe right now, what's an area in your life where you're wanting to be the artist of your life? You're actually an artist. You were an actor?
Yep. I mean, prior to Drum Cafe, I was a performing artist, dancer, singer, actor.
Right.
So the irony is, I guess the area I'd love most to be more creative would be in my political area. I mean, in my business area.
Okay.
My professional area. I mean, I feel like there's enough creativity happening at home.
Right.
I have 2 kids that keep things very real and creative. But yeah, I think giving myself permission to sort of try something really outrageous.
Got it.
Professionally.
Pavel, you said something really interesting. You said you want to be an artist. The area that you want to become an artist or a different kind of artist is in the area of your career.
Correct.
And you said, I need to give myself permission. So Global Tribe, we're going to take a quick break. But when we come back, we're actually going to explore this thing called permission, because that may be getting in the way. Your phone calls at 212-650-6903. Your online comments, again, you can watch us and listen to us at whcr.org.
I am not throwing away my shot. I am not throwing away my shot. And yo, I'm just like my country. I'm young, scrappy, and hungry, and I'm not throwing away my shot. I might get a scholarship to King's College. I probably shouldn't brag, but dag, I'm amazed and astonished. The problem is a lot of brains, but no polish. I gotta holler just to be heard with every word. I drop knowledge. I'm a diamond in the rough, a shining piece of coal, trying to reach my goal. My power of speech unimpeachable. Only 19, but my mind is older. These New York City streets get colder. I shoulder every burden, every disadvantage I've learned to manage. I don't have a gun to brandish. I walk these streets famished. The plan is to fan this spark into a flame. But damn, it's getting dark, so let me spell out the name. I am the A-L-E-X-A-N-D-E-R. We are meant to be a colony that runs.
All right, welcome back. You are listening to Coach Nick and the Dudes of Disruption, disrupting your automatics. Special guest Pavel Lempert and Coach Kerry Turner will be calling in very shortly. This week we're talking about how to become the artist of your life. Please continue to send in your online comments. One online comment, Pavel, that you'll enjoy is from our friend Tommy, who's in our Dudes of Disruption men's group. He says, "Nice stash, Nick." And yes, I am sporting a stash. What he's referring to is that the Dudes of Disruption men's group is partnering with Movember, Movember Foundation, which creates awareness around men's health during the month of November. The Dudes of Disruption men's group is raising money. We have a goal of $5,000. We've already blown that away, but please continue to contribute or join our team. You can go to the Dudes of Disruption Facebook page. You'll find a link there to make a donation. You just heard, Pavel, from the play Hamilton. And we're going to be playing music from Hamilton. Coincidentally, actually, I had planned to do Hamilton the entire week, and then all the stuff came out about Hamilton this weekend. I want to read a couple of verses from that song called "My Shot," which is from the play Hamilton, the musical. He says, "I'm not throwing away my shot. I'm not throwing away my shot. Hey, yo, I'm just like my country. I'm young, scrappy, and hungry, and I'm not throwing away my shot. Trying to reach my goal, my power of speech, unimpeachable. The plan is to fan this spark into a flame." Global Tribe, what flame do you have? Where do you have that flame where you want to be the artist of your life or a new kind of artist in some particular area of your life, and something is getting in the way? And we're going to talk about that. Before we do, I just want to play a quick commercial that was played back in the 90s.
Here's to the crazy ones. The misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them, but the only thing you can't do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward. And while some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do.
You were smiling during that that's the Apple commercial from the 1990s. Why are you smiling, Pavel?
Well, a couple things. First of all, the little nostalgia just hearing that. But also, I've got my own little live feed here going, and you keep using the phrase global tribe, and I have my own little global tribe chiming in here from, I've got Claire Farthing chiming in from the Pizza Hut in Swindon in the UK. So, and Vera Buxton, Denise Kelly, good to see you guys.
Love it. We literally have a global tribe of disruptors. I've got an interesting comment online, Pavel.
Yep.
It's from my friend Heidi up in Boston, up in Massachusetts. She says, "Drawing my life is listening to my own guidance," or another way put, her little voice probably, right? Not listening to anyone else, especially the naysayers who don't believe it isn't so. It is so. So, I think it. I think it, and I can feel it. I can create it. Anything is possible. One of the things that when I run leadership programs, one of the things I tell folks is that the game is made up. Everything is made up. The stop signs outside of the street that you are stopping your car while listening to this show, or the red light or the green light that stops you or has you go forward, right? This station, all of it, our clothes, it's all, somebody made it up. So the good news is that you get to make up a game, like Heidi's saying, like really trusting your inner voice.
I was just going to say, it sounds like trust.
Yes.
That voice, your voice.
Yes.
And just leaning into that and not getting distracted by, since it's made up, you get to make it up.
Yeah, and I want to say the thing about trust is it's not just trusting that there is something there that your little voice is telling you. More importantly, it's trusting that you will navigate through it. That it is whatever journey you're about to take, right? Because there will be breakthroughs and there will be breakdowns. That is part of the journey. And in fact, if you actually choose the journey, you don't even relate to it as breakdowns and breakthroughs. It's just the journey. And trust that you will figure it out. And here's a way to figure it out, by the way. We've all trusted ourselves at some point to figure it out. We've all had an opportunity in our lives. This is what I want people to get connected to. We've all had an opportunity in our lives where we navigated through a very challenging, tricky, something new, never done before kind of situation. And you accomplished whatever it was you accomplished. You succeeded at whatever it was that you wanted to succeed at. And what I want people to get connected to is you've done this already. You don't need to listen to this show to get the answer for that. You actually have the answer. Listen to the show to get reconnected to your greatness, to get to, like Heidi said, to get reconnected to that voice inside you that's saying, not only do you know what to go do, but you know actually how to get through it, how to navigate and land on your feet successfully, and have the people around you feel great. Now, I said before the break, Pavel, that, and you prompted this, you said something about permission.
Mm-hmm.
And there's an article that we both read prior to coming into the show called, it's a New York Times article called Hesitant to Make That Big Life Change. Permission Granted, Carl Richards.
Yep.
And I'm going to take a few excerpts from the article that we both read. So he talks about this, the co-author of Freakonomics, Stephen D. Levitt. And what Stephen D. Levitt says is that people who aren't sure about uprooting their lives probably should. And as a basic rule of thumb, Stephen Levitt says, people who are too cautious when it comes to making a change, right? So Mr. Levitt conducted this study, which I think was kind of fascinating. He asked participants who were undecided about a major life or business decision to flip a virtual coin, right? Pretty brilliant, right? Heads, they go ahead with the change. Tails, things stay the same. Based on the results of tossing over 20,000 virtual coins, the study found that people were happier after making a major change, whether they did it because the coin forced them or forced their hand or because they just decided on their own. And he talks about, this article, the context of the article is he's actually moving. He starts off by saying he's moving to New Zealand in 16 days, and he's about to take his family. And the little voice in his head, much like Heidi online was saying, the voice in his head kept saying, people just don't do this sort of thing. He says, name one person who picks up their family and goes to New Zealand. Who's ever done something like that before, right? So Global Tribe, when that little voice is doing that thing, that's something that I bet many people can relate to, he's actually looking for permission, which is what you said before the break. Those little voices are saying, what right do I have to do this? You're looking for validation. You're looking for affirmation that it's going to be okay. And usually when you make a big life change, by the way, you're not going to get that kind of support from people because you're breaking the status quo, much like the Apple commercial talks about. You almost don't have respect for the status quo. And let me say it differently, actually. You have respect for the status quo, and at the same time, what you're saying is, I'm going to disrupt it. I'm going to disrupt that status quo and choose that status quo from an awakened place, with eyes wide open. I may choose the status quo again from an awakened place, or I may choose something different because that status quo no longer serves me or serves the people around me. What do you think about this article?
It's troubling.
Can you relate to it personally?
Well, it definitely gives me pause. You know, how often am I not saying yes and to myself? Definitely, there's been, and not just because my gorgeous wife is tuning in,
right?
But you know, that is the clearest example for me of doing the unordinary, the extraordinary. You know, my wife is English. We met on a cruise ship.
Right.
You know, but yet somehow we made it work.
Right.
Even though, like you said, there were bumps along the way. No one said we could. It wasn't easy. And now, 17 years later, with 2 teenagers, things are good.
Yeah. Share the story you shared with me prior to the show about your daughter. Because in the context of this thing called we're waiting for permission in order to become the artist of our lives.
Sure. So I shared with Nick, my eldest daughter, 14-year-old Sophie. She is at hold on, I'm having technical difficulties here.
Yeah, that happens.
Okay, I'll let it go. So Sophie, she's a freshman in high school, and she just said to me the other day, she said, Papa, I have a question for you.
Is that what she calls you, Papa?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cute.
She said, can I go with some other East Side high school students and work in a soup kitchen on Thanksgiving?
Right.
And I never typically say yes or no to any question. I always kind of keep it going. So I said, well, we'll need to talk about this.
You say yes and.
I say yes and. Also, it allows me to parent with Diane, so neither of us are saying yes or no. So
right.
we get to talk about it together.
Right.
But anyway, I said, we'll have to talk about it. And then she also then offered, well, just so you know, I signed up. I can take my name off the list, but I already signed up.
Got it.
So I did reinforce that I thought it was a great thing that she was interested in that. I said, I think it's an incredible thing that you also are supporting in your own decision to do that
right.
in such a way that you're going to make it happen as best you can.
Yes.
So needless to say, of course, Diane and I had our quote-unquote discussion, and,
yes.
and we are supporting Sophie in her endeavors to support other people.
You know, what your story reminds me of around your daughter, Sophie, and I've met Sophie, and she is, they say if you want to know how you're doing as a parent, look at your kids.
Yeah.
And so Pavel and his wife have done an amazing job, and what I love about the story around Sophie is that when you're in action, when you're in the doing, and you're doing it from a place of heart, and a place of love, and you're connected to your higher purpose, people are more forgiving when you don't ask for permission. It's when you're doing it from a righteousness place or a place of judgment or looking to do harm that when you don't ask permission, people get upset with you. So what I'm hearing about the story with Sophie is that at the end of the day, she didn't ask for permission around something called, I want to go do contribution work on Thanksgiving, right? And it's like, well, of course I'm going to honor that and allow my daughter to do that. This thing about permission really is powerful, Global Tribe of Disruptors. If you're looking to unleash yourself in any area of your life around health, around finances, around your career, around your business, around your relationship with your spouse or your partner, with your kids, disrupt this thing called permission. I watched my mom and dad as a kid growing up, Pavel. My dad was a blue-collar worker. He was a tailor, and he worked very, very long hours. And he would come home, and seemingly it seemed like it was every night that they'd have the same conversation. And my dad would talk about how he wanted to open up his own business. Because he was a tailor, he wanted to open up a dry cleaning business. And it was interesting because he would ask my mom from like this little boy place, like, this is what I want. What do you think? Do you think this is a good idea? Would you help me? And my mom would always say, you have 2 kids. They're in private school. They're young. That's a crazy idea, right? And my mom was she was doing the right thing from her perspective, right? My parents are immigrants. They didn't have a lot of dough. So my mom was playing it safe, which was also the right thing to do. And for my dad, the opportunity was to disrupt this conversation waiting for permission. Because he waited for permission, he never actually became the artist of his life in the area of his career. Okay, going back to this article from Stephen Levitt, what he says, one of the more interesting parts of the experiment that Mr. Levitt did was that a simple coin toss was permission enough for some of the people that he had in his study. Perhaps it doesn't matter, he goes on to say, where the permission comes from, Maybe we're all secretly dying for anyone, including a coin, to just come along and say, just go for it. You can make that change. And listen, if you have people in your life who are giving you permission and giving you validation and giving you affirmation, that's awesome. And at the same time, remember this, Global Tribe. When you're making big changes and you are disrupting the status quo, it scares people around you. It spooks people, just like my dad wanting his own business scared my mom. And so that's the moment in time where you get to actually make a powerful choice called, I'm going to give myself permission. Global Tribe, we're going to take a quick break. We have a podcast. This show will be on a podcast dropping tomorrow. I want to thank the Global Tribe of Disruptors. Pavel, we are in the top 20 in the self-help category on Podomatic. We have Coach Carrie Turner on the line, who will be live with us when we return. Again, your phone calls 212-650-6903. Also, your online comments, keep coming them in.
I may not live to see our glory.
I may not live to see our glory.
But I will gladly join the fight.
But I will gladly join the fight.
And when our children tell our story.
And when our children tell our story.
They'll tell the story of tonight.
Let's have another round tonight. Let's have another round tonight.
Let's have another round tonight.
Raise a glass to freedom. Something they can never take away. No matter what they tell you.
Global Tribe, you're listening to Coach Nick right here with the Dudes of Disruption. We are committed to disrupting the automatics in our lives. Today's show is how to become the artist of your life. Check out the dudes on social media throughout the week for inspirational quotes, disruptive conversations, and upcoming events. That was, again, a song from Hamilton, The Story of Tonight. And just a quick shout out to Alexander Hamilton, who's one of our founding fathers. He's portrayed in the play as an immigrant orphan whose drive to prove himself, to not throw away his shot. And by the way, he wasn't waiting for anyone's permission. He was going for it. Stands as a testament. The fact that he went for it stands as a testament to one of the many great strengths of our culture. And again, I want to thank our founding fathers for giving us many gifts, and one of them is that people in this country don't need permission. We can just go for it.
I would say it's like the Declaration of Independence. It's not the question of independence, it's a declaration.
Ooh, I love that, yes.
And so it's the declaration of it's going to be okay,
yes,
as opposed to is it going to be okay?
Yes.
So I think sometimes that permission, it's a mindset.
Yes.
So we move.
I love it.
We move forward.
And one of the things I say, you just reminded me of, Pavel, is that sometimes one way to give yourself permission is just to say, because I say so. But to your point, it's the Declaration of Independence, not the question of independence. It's like, because I say so. All men are created equal, Thomas Jefferson said. Okay, we have Coach Carrie Turner on the line. Let's bring her live. Carrie Turner in the house.
How are you?
Hi, Carrie.
Hi.
Carrie, you want to say something about yourself to the Global Tribe? Who you are?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Besides your friend, I've known Nick for years.
Thank you.
I am a life coach, and I coach women to align themselves with their divine feminine to elicit healing and empowering in all areas of their lives.
Awesome. I love your mission, Carrie. It's a very, very important one. So, Carrie, thank you for being on our show. Now, Carrie has been a participant on the Dudes of Disruption show now quite a bit. Carrie, Pavel and I were talking about this article from the New York Times by Carl Richards, which talks about how people are waiting for permission and approval before making big changes. Based on the work that you do, you coach a lot of folks, you facilitate a lot of sessions. Based on the work that you do, how accurate would you say this perspective that Carl Richards shares in his New York Times article?
Oh, I would say he is spot on. Absolutely. I've seen it not only with the people that I've coached, but also in my own life before I got past, that awareness around permission. Absolutely.
Do you think there's a difference between men and women from your perspective? Meaning, do you think men are waiting for permission more than women, or vice versa, that women, vice versa? I almost confused myself there. So I caught myself.
I think in different areas it might be different. I mean, of course, from my perspective, I'm going to say that I see, since I work with women so much,
right.
That women have a challenge, definitely a greater challenge with permission.
Yeah.
Because of the way society is, the patriarchal society that we live in.
I've heard from several women, I don't know if this is if you would agree with this, that often women, men often will go for a job without having the qualifications or having the experience, whereas women often feel like they have to be perfect for it, right? It's almost, again, in the background, there's this thing called permission. They're not giving themselves permission to actually leverage their talents and strengths that they have, and instead what they're doing is trying to be perfect for that job or for that role.
Absolutely. And that's, not only in the workforce, but the perfection issue would definitely is something that holds women back overall as far as really going for it in different areas of their lives.
Yep. We've been talking about, the show is called How to Become the Artist of Your Life, Carrie. Mm-hmm. And so what do you think gets in the way most around people becoming the artist of their life? We've talked about permission being a big factor. Beyond giving yourself permission or waiting for permission, where else are people getting in their own way?
I think that, obviously fear and perhaps even waiting for I'll do it when the fear passes.
Right.
And as we know, that doesn't really happen.
Right.
Wanting to be liked, looking good, like we have it all together
right.
for others, being in our head around it a lot, and
right.
being I think a big one for me, though, is, between the ages of 0 and 10, where we create our belief systems, including our core limiting beliefs.
Right.
And I think that maybe when we're little and the first couple, 2-3 times we swing out big, and we get a message back from either our parents, our teachers, siblings, friends, whoever, that, hey, wait a second here, who do you think you are?
Right.
Don't shine so bright. And I think that gets imprinted in ourselves, and we carry that with us until we are able to really to create a new belief system. Because like you had mentioned before, a lot of times when we do play big in life,
right.
it freaks other people out.
Yes.
Because what happens is we're mirroring back where they perhaps are playing small.
Yes, absolutely. It makes them feel uncomfortable. It has them feel maybe even less than. It has them question why are they not becoming the artist of their own lives. And so they actually will start telling you all the reasons why you shouldn't do something. There's a saying that I offer in some of the workshops I do, which is people are going to judge you anyway. So you might as well be yourself. You might as well actually be your authentic self. You might as well go for what you believe is right? What you believe is connected to your core values.
Absolutely. And the funny, at first it could feel, it feels different when you show up that way in your own life, because if we're used to kind of like going with the flow of what other people want to say.
Right.
But once you really burst out of that and start, that is the way that you're committed to living your life.
Yes.
It becomes so natural, and it feels so good.
Yeah, Pavel and we have Pavel Lempert from Drum Cafe in the studio. We were talking earlier about how trust is a really important piece. I really think that trust is the opposing force of fear, and trust is not absent of fear. By the way, trust is actually includes fear. It's like fear. Let's be homies. Let's hang out. Like let's lean in on each other. It's like, listen, people who are courageous are not courageous without any hesitation or without any fear. What I do believe a courageous person does, or who they're being, is somebody who says, I will figure it out. I trust myself that whatever I get myself into, I will figure out how to navigate, how to move to the left and how to, duck to the right. And I know that I'm going to be okay, and that there is a lesson to be learned inside of this particular experience. So, Carrie, before you came on, we were talking about also our founding fathers, because I think they are like the original artist, right? These like amazing artists, right? What lesson can we learn from your perspective from our country's founding fathers that people today, your clients, our clients here, that people today can apply to their lives in the areas of career, in the areas of finances, relationships? What can we learn from our founding fathers?
Well, I think, first of all, think big. Get out of your comfort zone. I mean, nothing outrageous and amazing is created within a comfort zone.
Right.
You said before, like, as human beings, we have the ability to create something out of nothing, to really believe in that. And it's not just for some people, it's for all people.
Right.
And I think also asking yourself a question of what value will this bring to others, making it not just about you.
Ooh, I love that.
Because then it's like, wait a second, if I don't do this, if I don't attempt this, then I'm actually being stingy to other people, because whatever it is that I want to give into this world could move so many people. So, how dare I play small?
Oh, I so love what you just said, because Pavel and I were talking prior to the show, and we said one of the things that always pulls us forward is to get connected to something much, much bigger than ourselves. And when we get connected to something much, much bigger than ourselves, we actually will move forward even with the fear, even with those little voices in your head saying, maybe you shouldn't, no one else has done this, how dare you do this? You do it because you're connected to something much, much larger. And I think the easy one for people to get connected to is when you're a parent, right? You're a parent, you're connected to something much larger called your kids, your family. And so often as a parent, listen, all parents, Pavel's a parent, you're a parent, Carrie, I'm a parent. We're founding fathers in our families, because there's no playbook. I know there's like a gazillion books around it. You know what? The minute that little baby comes out, it's like, yeah, whatever was on page 28, I don't remember, right? And so you make decisions and choices based on something much, much bigger than yourself. And I think that's a key takeaway that you just left us with as a way to give ourselves permission, give ourselves the opportunity to get out of our own way so we go become the artist of our lives. Carrie, as usual, dropping the gems. Carrie, how do folks get a hold of you?
You could find me, you could email me at Kerry, Kerry, at KerryTurnerCoaching.com, or you can find me on Facebook too, Kerry Turner Coaching.
Awesome.
Facebook page.
Kerry,
okay?
Thank you again for being part of the Coach Nick and Dudes of Disruption show. You are welcome to come back anytime.
Thank you so much. It was great. Have a great afternoon, guys.
You too. All right. We have a caller on the line. Who's calling in?
Hello.
Hello. Who's this?
Hey, Nick. It's Alon.
Alone. How ironic that it's Alone. Our friend Pavel, you don't know Alone, but in a way you do. Alone is actually the person who introduced me to this article.
Okay.
Now, Alone, talk about doing something without permission. Alone, folks, who's on the line right now. Sorry, Alone, I'm doing a whole thing around you here.
Go for it.
Alone picked up his wife and his 3 kids, and they moved to Bali a couple of months ago. They don't have any friends there. They don't have any relations there, but they have a vision of the kind of family they want to have. They have a vision around the kind of environment they want to be in. They have a vision around the kind of world they want to create. And they went on vacation to Bali for 2 weeks. They came back and said, you know what, we're going to do the unthinkable. And they actually made the move. So you are actually the inspiration for this show, Alone.
Wow.
Thank you. Thank you.
Are you calling in from Bali, by the way?
I actually got back into New York yesterday.
Okay, cool.
Last night.
Awesome. What were you going to just say?
I would like to say, though, that even though, yes, we did move to Bali, that struggling with permission is still a daily struggle for me.
Say more about that, Alone. Say more about that.
So I am starting to. I'm going to be doing a new business.
Okay.
And I had a conversation with my wife actually about 3 days ago, and I'm really stuck around it because I'm not sure how to go forward, and I'm really stuck. And she asked me, what's holding you back? What are you doing? What's holding you back? And I got the cojones. It was really nervous. But I got the cojones.
That's a technical term.
I actually told her, I'm actually waiting for your permission to do it.
You said that.
And I actually said that. And she looked at me like I was completely out of my mind and said that, it's insane that I'm doing it because she has no reason to give me permission. She's telling me, do whatever you want.
Right.
But yet, so I'm thinking about it, and I'm very defensive at first, of course, but I actually figured it out, and I think it was a lot with her advice. She said that I'm just looking to get out of responsibility. And you know what? She's absolutely right. It's a total excuse for me to not be responsible to create whatever I want to create out of fear.
Mm. So it sounds like the permission is not from external forces, in this case called your wife, right? Or from society. It's really giving yourself permission to be responsible, to bring a certain way of being that it's going to take in order to, in this case, in Alone's case, to succeed in building this new business. Because it's almost like we use the permission from others as the excuse to get in our own way, when meanwhile we have the answer right here within ourselves.
Yeah, it actually really blew me away that because it was very clear to her, but it was a complete blind spot for me. I wouldn't have even and even though it's obvious now, but it's such a block. It's just an excuse, actually.
You know, it's interesting too, Alone, that you say that it's a block, it's a blind spot. And I said this in the first segment, actually, is that we all have proof where we've been the artist of our lives. We all have proof where we've disrupted the status quo. We all have proof where we've gone or deviated outside of the norm, where we've been the rebel or the revolutionist like our founding fathers in any area, right? Inside of our families, in our communities, in our schools, etc., right? You just made a major move, right? You moved to Bali. You took your wife and your 3 kids without knowing anyone there. I mean, it's not like you went there because you had a business or a plant there or relatives there. So it's interesting, like you didn't ask for anybody's permission to go to Bali. So you've done it before. You have that muscle. You realize that?
Not really, no. Tell me more.
You can't make this up. Would you agree, Alone, that you disrupted an automatic called "I'm going to move to Bali" when others would have said to you, "What right do you have to do that?" That's a crazy idea. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it's according to everyone I know, it's crazy. Yes.
Okay, who are you being? What did it take for you to make that choice to move to Bali with your wife and kids without not knowing anyone there, and also getting backlash from friends and family? What did it take? Because you've done it. You did it already. I have the proof. You have the proof. What did it take? Who were you being in that moment in time?
A disruptor.
Okay. And in order to be a disruptor, what do you need? You need many things, but what's one thing that you need?
It's for me, it's actually it's making the decision was the hardest part, and after the decision, it was easy.
Right.
Everything fell in place afterwards.
Declaration.
So, who am I being? I don't know. I'm drawing a blank.
No, it just gets back to what we were talking earlier. It's about a declaration as opposed to a question. And when you decide, either exclusively by yourself or by enrolling people and say, I'm going to do this, there's no permission. It's a statement. It's a declaration.
Right.
And there's power in that, and people want to be on board with that. In your case, you took your family.
Right.
They were part of it, but my guess is it was your declaration that made it all happen.
Yeah,
it was actually, yes.
Yeah, and Pavel, what you don't know from this man is, in the last couple of years that I've known him, He was in a family business doing quite well, going fine, right? Successful business. And he disrupted the automatic, the status quo, and he decided to leave that business and then go start another one. And then a few months ago, he chooses with his family to move to Bali again, not knowing anyone. So it's funny how Alone says, I'm drawing a blank. I'm not sure what's going on. Meanwhile, I mean, by the way, I appreciate you actually, because when we're on the hot seat, right, we draw a blank. But again, this is really, it's actually a gift to the people listening and watching the show, because I really believe that we all actually have the answer called how to become an artist in our lives, how to actually unleash ourselves. We already have the answer. The question is, what are you waiting for, right? And one of the things we've been talking about, Alone, is one way to actually get past yourself or get past even this permission thing is to actually just get connected to something much, much bigger than yourself, what your higher purpose is or what your mission is in the world. And once you do that, it will pull you forward, even if you still have fear that's, lingering around.
Yes, that feels very, very correct. Yes.
Awesome. Alone, thank you so much for calling.
Awesome.
Glad to have you back in New York City, and please continue to call and watch the show.
Thank you, Nick.
Awesome.
All the best. Thank you.
You are listening to Coach Nick and the Dudes of Disruption, who are committed to disrupting your automatics like we were just doing with Alone. Today's show title is How to Become the Artist of Your Life. We have a couple of minutes left. Again, please continue sending in your online comments. We've got an online comment from our friend Heidi, again, up from Massachusetts. She loved Kerry, by the way. She says, I love that. To not do it, think big and do it for the greater good is actually awesome. We don't have to know all the answers. The how will come. I actually love that Heidi said that. If you get committed, part of the declaration that you talked about is making a declaration about something you want and really being connected to it and connecting your heart and your head to it and not getting caught up in the how. When we get caught up in the how, that gives us a reason to actually not do it. Well, how's it going to happen? How much time do I have? Can I really be doing this? Listen, we all have been there where we've wanted something like it's nobody's business, and miraculously, we find the time. We find the resources. We even find the brains for it. Right?
Yeah, we figure it out.
So we've been talking about how to become the artist of your life. Disrupt this conversation that many of us have, these little voices in our head around giving ourselves permission. We are live, Pavel and Global Tribe, every Sunday from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern. We drop a podcast every Monday. You can find it on iTunes and on Podomatic. We're ranked in the top 20 again. Thank you so much. Woohoo, right? You can also find us at Dudes of Disruption on Facebook. We're now getting to parting shots. How about them apples?
So fast.
Right? The show went so fast, and I've enjoyed this time with you.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm going to have to come back now.
Yes. Heidi says great show, and I think it's because Pavel played a big part in that.
Thanks, Heidi.
Yeah, Heidi's on fire on the online over here. What's your parting shot, Mr. Pavel?
My takeaway, which was discovering the moment. It's about declaration, that if you want to be bold and play a big game, be audacious. Go for it. And while you may set up the destination, don't get hung up on the details. Just there's a certain amount of trust and willingness to say yes and just make it happen, and trust that you have the wherewithal and the support to achieve whatever that audacious declaration is.
Yeah, and again, what you're reminding me is that when you're disrupting the status quo and going for something really big, like your daughter, like the story you told about your daughter, when you're doing it from a place of love and contribution, people will be easier to enroll. People will be easier to get to hop on your bus. Before I do my parting shot, I've got one more online comment from Jace. Thank you, Jace, again, for continuing to support the show. She says, whoa, digging the stash, Nick. Here's my parting shot. Again, we were highlighting this Carl Richards New York Times article, And he goes on to say, my parting shot's going to include a couple of excerpts from his article. He says, Carl Richards, the New York Times article says, I hereby proclaim myself the president of permission granting, and by all the power vested in me, I grant everyone, and I'm going to add this part, I grant everyone in the global tribe of Dudes of Disruption audience who's listening and watching the permission to go be the artist in anything that you want to do in your life. Whatever it is, you now have been granted to do and to have permission to do whatever it is that you want. This week, take one, he goes on to say, and I love this suggestion, this week, Global Tribe, take one major change you're wanting to make and figure out if the only thing getting in your way is that you're waiting for someone to give you permission or validation or affirmation. Be honest with yourself, really take a look, like really, really notice and be in an inquiry. And if you find that it's permission that you're searching for, then again, you've been granted here on the Dudes of Disruption Coach Nick Show. Look no further. You have permission. I'm going to end by saying this. It was people, our founding fathers. It was people who founded this country. But they founded this country not on impersonal factors such as economics or technology or money or class that make history. And they make it out of, what they did was they made it out of the ideals that they can cherish in their hearts and in the ideas that they had in their minds. That's the artist. The artist gets connected to the music of their heart and to the words of their head. They connect the music and the words together. Go be the artist of your life, Global Tribe. The world really is a demand right now for transformation. There's a big job wanted sign called We Need Artists in the areas of education and food and politics and race and economic equality. There is a demand for artists. The game is made up. Go make up the game on your terms and change the world while doing it. We end every show, Pavel, with a quote from a major disruptor. Dr. Seuss, don't cry because Coach Nick and the Dudes are over. A big smile because we just happened.
One, two, three, four. Can I have a little more? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I love you. A, B, C, D. Can I bring my friend to tea? E, F, G, H, I, J. I love you. Boom, 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 boom. Sail the ship. Boom, boom, boom. Chop the tree.
Veterans have difficulty transitioning their military skills into civilian jobs. In New York City, an estimated 17,300 veterans are unemployed. Are you a veteran in desperate need of help? Do you want to take advantage of a life-changing opportunity? If so, the 369th Veterans Outreach Program is designed to assist veterans in Harlem and surrounding communities. Veteran services include resume preparation, interview workshops, access to interview attire, and reliable transportation. For more information, call the 369th Veterans Outreach Program at 646-533-9292.
This is a guided meditation on parenting. Take this time to breathe deeply and close your eyes. Right now, you're completely in control. Unlike the time you and your son played basketball and you attempted to slam dunk. Or when you tried removing those raccoons from the basement. Concentrate on the soothing sound of my voice. Release the memory of when you wrestled with that beehive in your son's treehouse. Let go of the time you thought that skunk was a cat, or when you pulled into the garage with your son's bike on top of the car. Deep breaths. Deep breaths.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you. For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
CNN.com recently named New York City as the most stressful city in the United States because of the high cost of living, long commutes, and overcrowded conditions. Some New Yorkers combat stress with exercise and fun activities in Central Park. But if stress has become too overwhelming for you to cope with, there is help. Harlem Hospital has an outpatient clinic that can help you deal with stress, alcoholism, anger management, and substance abuse. Seminars and workshops are held at Harlem Hospital on West 137th Street between Lenox and Fifth Avenues on the 4th floor. Workshops are held Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to noon. Call 212-939-3210 for more information.
The Community Emergency Response Team, or CERT of New York City, provides assistance in preparing and recovering from emergencies. CERT assists first responders and provides staffing for city shelters in response to disasters and extreme weather conditions. City College is one of the many locations for hurricane evacuation. CERT team members are local and live amongst the community, so they are always there for the people. CERT members will speak to any organization about emergency planning for the elderly, children, and the disabled. They offer workshops in creating go bags, emergency communication, and evacuation plans, and shelter-in-place kits. To learn how to prepare for emergencies, call South Harlem CERT at 917-406-6661.
There's hundreds of fun and simple things you and your family can do to live a healthier lifestyle. Here's 20 of them. Eat less, eat slower, eat smarter, eat your fruits and veggies. Stop eating before you're full. Up your fiber, lower your calories, get off the bus early, do some gardening, do jumping jacks, take the stairs, take one, not two, take on a new sport, take a long walk home, walk instead of drive, bend, stretch, reach for the stars, climb the monkey bars, skip the fudge bars. Search We Can online to find more ways you and your family can get healthy together. A message from the Ad Council, HHS, and NIH's We Can program.
Each year, 650,000 individuals are released from jails and prisons across America. There's a 67% chance that they'll be incarcerated again within 3 years. While this is a big problem, there's an even bigger solution: education. Education is the most effective response to crime, and College Initiative works to make college a realistic goal for formerly incarcerated New Yorkers. College Initiative works to help formerly incarcerated individuals to become stabilizing forces in their communities and advocates towards working for a safer New York. For more information, visit www.collegeinitiative.org.
Nurse, set up an IV. And you, her boyfriend, you were the driver?
Yes, doctor, but I didn't mean to hurt her. I only had a few drinks. I was just buzzed.
Just buzzed? Oh, then your girlfriend is fine.
Hey, sweetie. I feel great.
She's really okay?
What, are you kidding? No, not really. Nurse, get me a suture kit. Stack.
Buzzed driving. Maybe we should stop acting like it's no big deal. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Transportation and the Ad Council.
It's not always easy being a dad.
When's the fairy princess coming?
Any minute now.
What? What do you mean she's not coming?
But it's always worth it.
It's the fairy princess!
It is I, Cruz Zinkelbell. The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life.
I know it's really you, Drew. I'm just pretending for the other kids.
Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Hello, and welcome to today's lottery drawing. Good luck. And here's today's winning numbers. First one up, it's not yours. Second one, not yours. And another number that's not yours. Okay, this is one number that's yours. It's a 5, but you don't get any money for that. And the final number is not yours.
Yep, so chances are you're not going to hit the lottery anytime soon. Don't get us wrong, the lottery can be fun every now and then. Just please don't rely on it for your future savings. How about this? Brew your own coffee at home instead of buying that latte every day. Brown bag it to work instead of ordering in. Ride your bike instead of buying all that gas. These changes alone can save you thousands a year. Thousands. Small changes today, big bucks tomorrow. Feed that piggy bank. Go to feedthepig.org for more free ideas on how to save. Feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
On the next episode of Recipes for Disaster.
So we've got our neighbor Paul coming over tonight for a barbecue, which is why I prepared a delicious lemon rosemary steak marinade from my special collection of old family recipes. To make sure the steaks are extra, extra, extra tender, I left them marinating out on the counter overnight, just like Nana used to.
Maria may mean well, but without food safety, it never ends well. Always thaw or marinate foods in the refrigerator at 40 degrees Fahrenheit or below, or you could make your friends and family really sick. Maria's neighbor Paul didn't think twice about the steak he ate until he was presenting his company's financial forecast to the board. That's when a sudden bout of food poisoning made it explicitly clear that profits weren't the only thing on the rise. Watch Recipes for Disaster at foodsafety.gov. You'll learn the right steps as Maria does everything wrong. Brought to you by the USDA, HHS, and the Ad Council.
The Community Emergency Response Team, or CERT of New York City, provides assistance in preparing and recovering from emergencies. CERT assists first responders and provides staffing for city shelters in response to disasters and extreme weather conditions. City College is one of the many locations for hurricane evacuation. CERT team members are local and live amongst the community, so they are always there for the people. CERT members will speak to any organization about emergency planning for the elderly, children, and the disabled. They offer workshops in creating go bags, emergency communication, and evacuation plans, and shelter-in-place kits. To learn how to prepare for emergencies, call South Harlem CERT at 917-406-6661.
Harlem has its own radio station.
For you and yours, WHCR 90.3 FM. The loudest party in the whole universe.
The voice of Harlem.
Harlem. How you doing on this beautiful Sunday? Cold Sunday at that. Seems like we're getting some bad weather coming in, but we're still here and we're still going to have a great show today regardless. A lot going on in the sports world. You're listening to Sports at the Half. I'm one half of your host, AJ. Chi-Chi still on vacation, but we may be able to plug her in today. We're just waiting on some things to come up on the computer, so hopefully she can plug in today and join the conversation. I'm joined today again with my brother Dion. He was here a few weeks ago, and I brought him in today, specifically him today, because we got a lot to talk about, and I know he's going to have a very, very different point of view than I probably will have about it, so it should lead to some good conversation. And of course, as always, you can join in on the conversation a little later. Call in and join in and give us your take on it at 212-650-6903. That's 212-650-6903. You can always watch us at WHCR.com, see our faces, see our reactions, see what we're doing in the studio. Dion, how you doing today?
Peace. What's going on, AJ? Thank you for having me.
No problem. You becoming a mainstay here.
Oh man, come on. Somebody likes me, huh?
Somebody do. I don't know who that may be. Somebody do. But there's a lot going on this week, D. We got a lot to talk about. Yeah, man. This is an interesting week as always. Like we talked about last week with our guests, this is a very fun time of year for sports. We got a lot of action going on. We got college basketball kicked off last week or a week or so ago. We got football in full swing. We got NBA in full swing. I think hockey's in full swing. So there's a lot going on. But of course, let's start off the show with some football talk.
Okay.
Who's your team? I think we talked about this before. You are Cowboys, correct?
Yes, put that star on your helmet.
He's a Cowboys fan. And like I always say, I have no idea how so many New York fans, some New York residents became Cowboy fans. This is crazy. But the Cowboys, your Cowboys, are doing really, really well.
Yeah, they're
really
playing.
well.
They're playing.
They had a scare. I believe Monday Night Football. They had a scare? Or was that last Sunday?
That was last Sunday.
Last Sunday they had a scare, right? Mm-hmm. Almost lost to, who was that they played?
Pittsburgh.
Right.
Yeah.
Which was an awesome game. That Pittsburgh game was crazy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, what's your take on Dak Prescott?
I think Dak is tough. He's ahead of his learning curve already, man. He's doing what he has to do. His composure is something that sticks out to me. You know, I looked at him with 40 seconds left in the Pittsburgh game, and just his demeanor was like, don't worry, we'll be all right. And that's not the case with a lot of rookies. You know, you don't see that with rookies.
So you're saying he's growing up in front of our eyes?
Right in front of our eyes, man.
I saw Dak for the first time in preseason, and I was watching a preseason game with a good friend of mine who's also a Dallas fan, and I was shocked how good he was. He had a good arm on him, had a good body, a good frame, could take some hits, but he was very mature.
Yes.
You know, he wasn't erratic. He was calm. He looked like he was poised for the position. And I was telling my friend at the time, you know, like, listen, and I'm not a Dallas Cowboys fan. I don't watch football as much as I watch, you know, a few other sports, but I like to follow along. But I was telling him, like, listen, Dak is the real deal.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It was all Romo this and Romo that. And as soon as Romo went down, I texted him, Dak Prescott about to step up. So I'm happy to see the young brother out there doing good. Dallas Cowboys are 8-1 right now. 8-1 record. They won 8 in a row with Dak, right?
Yep.
8 in a row. But Jerry Jones is still a Romo advocate.
He is. He is.
I get it. It's like a father-son standpoint, right? You got a team, or you coaching your son, and then there's another player that comes along a little bit better. Your son is a little older. This guy's a little younger. You know what I mean? I get it where he's coming from, but at the same point in time, it's like, yo, we got to ride this wave.
Absolutely.
Got to ride this wave. So hopefully they don't shoot themselves in the foot and throw on Romo and just to appease Romo and then, you know, kill the wave. But
I think Romo had a press conference and he kind of
yes, I'm gonna get we're gonna get to that. He did co-sign, but my thing with that even co-sign is, does he need a co-sign from Romo? Like, was he looking for Romo? Like, Romo, please say that.
I think for the sake of the team morale and the team chemistry, just to show that there's no locker room, you know, discord in the locker room.
Okay.
You know, I think that helps for, you know, the ultimate goal.
All right, so let's take it a step further. Was the cosign sincere?
I think so. I think so.
Okay.
Romo has his money. He got his money.
That is true. But I know football contracts, NFL contracts are not guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how they are year to year. But I know they're not guaranteed. But yes, he got his paper. He's not worried about the money. So he can sit on the sideline all season and chill and still get paid. So that's fine. But hopefully, or I'm assuming Romo's still a competitor and he wants to get out there and show that he still got it. But again, you got to do what's best for the team.
Let me ask you this, Let's say you're playing on a team and there's somebody that maybe a little younger that comes in.
Mm-hmm.
How do you handle that? How do you handle that situation as a veteran and you want to be a competitor, you want to compete for your team, but this player has come in and did what he did? How would you handle something like that?
I wasn't fortunate enough to play in my later years where I had to deal with that necessarily. I was always the young boy playing with the older guys.
But I'm saying it could be it could be any sport.
Right, I understand that.
Yeah.
I'm a competitor, but I'm also a realist. You know, I'm going to compete to the point that you have to take it away from me. I'm not handing anything over.
Gotcha.
You know, if this young guy is better than me and he's doing all the right, give it to him. I'll find my way. You know, but give me an opportunity to compete. You know what I mean? I'm a fighter. You know, I want the opportunity. Yep, match us up or line us up. Let me give you my chance. You give him your chance, and then you pick. If he's better than me, cool. I mean, but as an athlete, you have to understand that. You can't have everything your way.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I'm all for doing what's best for the team. I mean, like anybody else, I played basketball for a very long time. I've sat on the bench at moments, you know, but I've been the guy who never sat on the bench at moments. You know what I mean? So I got a little bit of both of them. I can't say I do like sitting on the bench, not my thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that also is the competitive side of me. Like if I'm sitting on the bench or a coach says I can't play or I'm not fit to play, then I need to prove why I can play. And not to say that this can even happen in the NFL because it's a one quarterback show. I could theoretically in basketball, I could play with that player on the court. Like we can you know play together. On football, you can't have two quarterbacks on the field at the same time. So it's a little different scenario. But like to me, I think it's time to usher in the new boy. I mean, he's doing very, very well. I mean, he's getting them out of some funks. He's playing steady. I mean, I don't see why there would be any need for them to go to Romo whatsoever. I mean, unless he gets, even if he have a bad game, you know, he throw 3-4 interceptions and he's 8-0. Yes. Like he needs, like it's almost, I don't want it to be a point where he has a bad game, then it's like, oh, we told you we're going to run back. You know what I mean? Let him fail a little bit. You know what I mean? Don't have so many high expectations that he's not able to fail and then get back up. Because we know Romo had his good share of failures.
Absolutely.
But even on the flip side, they have a running back, Ezekiel Elliott, who is a monster.
Zeke.
They're talking about possibly an MVP, or he is an MVP candidate. They're talking about him actually winning the MVP, which is shocking. Now, Ezekiel Elliott is a running back out of Ohio State who had a very, very good career. He's a draft pick, a top draft pick in the NFL last season. Had a little bit of issues, and not even issues. He got caught up in some drama in the beginning of the season or the summer with a woman who took some pictures of him and all this other stuff. And we're going to get to a similar subject later, but took some pictures of him and some other stuff. And unfortunately for him, it came out that the woman was lying and all this other stuff on him. So that's good. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he progresses through this, the last 5 or 6 games through the season. But he's having a phenomenal season as a rookie. What's your take on him?
Zeke is the man. Zeke is the man.
You only can take one. Dak or Zeke? Who you taking?
Nah,
you only can take
Cowboys.
You only can take one.
We got both.
If you can only take one,
to start a team. To
have on your team.
Have a team. Wow, that's a tough question, man. But I guess the value of the quarterback right now.
You're a smart man.
Yeah, the value of the quarterback.
You're a smart man, D.
Talking to another former quarterback in AJ. I know you played.
I played a little bit.
Yeah,
I played a little bit. I think it's like a point guard, man. You can't, without your leader, without your coach on the field, you can't necessarily be successful. Right there, behind every great running back, there's still a pretty good quarterback.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to be. You kind of got to have that leadership or that position filled with a great guy. So I mean, how good Ezekiel is, I can't pass up Dak for Ezekiel. But needless to say, they're on the same team. We ain't got to worry about that.
Yeah, Dallas Cowboys, baby.
So I did some digging just to see, right? Because in my years, I haven't heard of a rookie having such a phenomenal season, but also winning MVP. So I did some digging, and I found 3 guys that won the MVP by one association or another. 1978.
Okay.
Earl Campbell.
Wow.
Earl Campbell.
Okay.
1981. Oh, let me take you a step back. 1957. Jeez, 57. And I'm looking at the year just now. Like, this guy's really that old? 1957. Jim Brown.
As a rookie. Okay.
As a rookie. Of course, Jim Brown is, most people may know him besides football as I'm Gonna Get You Sucker. But he's a advocate in the community. He actually is doing some good things in California, Los Angeles, as far as the gangs and getting them to have a truce and so on and so forth. 1978, Earl Campbell. 1981, Lawrence Taylor.
Wow.
LT.
Wow. Those are 3
monsters, all Hall of Famers, all great players. So if he was to win the Rookie of the Year, that's the class he will fall in.
Wow.
I mean, these are 3 names is like legendary.
Yeah, that's saying something.
Is Ezekiel Elliott a legend?
We don't want to. I mean, let's not put that on him, right? Let's not even put that pressure on him right now to say that he's a legend right now. Let's just let this run its course and enjoy the ride. Let's enjoy. I'm enjoying what I'm watching right now. I don't want to put It's like when you first get with a female. You don't want to put titles on things. You just kind of just want to enjoy the moment.
Yo, yeah, this little politically correct answer is just not going to work. It's just not going to work for me, D. I don't like it. But okay, I can dig it. Listen, I think he has an opportunity. I mean, how he's running or how he's playing today, he is looking very good. That doesn't mean he's going to look good next year. So, and from my experience of watching football and following football, running backs don't have many great years in a row.
Yeah.
Running backs typically have a breakout year and maybe a couple years around it, and then they're kind of like where they went. Go ahead, D.
I think this is what we do in sports, though, a lot, though. In spurts, something may happen. Somebody may have a couple good games or even a good season, and then we're quick to give them titles of, legends or something of that nature. But I think, we need to let them do what they have to do over a long period of time. Consistency. They have to show a certain consistency before we start anointing them with certain titles.
Okay. And we talking about rookies, right?
I'm talking about all across the board, every sport, rookies. I'm talking about even people after their rookie year, they may have a good couple games, a good season, and then automatically we give them titles as, the best or something like that. They may be the best at the moment, but to throw them in like top fives or top threes after one good season is tough. That doesn't really sit well with me. It has to be a certain sense of consistency and longevity in that greatness. Then that's when I'll say, somebody is great or legendary for that sense.
I mean, if you take a look at Cam Newton,
okay,
and granted he was been in the league for a few years now, but look at the phenomenal season he had last year. And then look at the season he has in this year. He went from, the hero to the villain really, really, really fast. You know what I mean? Now, is some of it deserving? Who knows? You know what I mean? I know they changed a few personnel on their team, so that can be the reason. It could be, it could be a many things. You know what I mean? But like you said, you anoint people, you give people this title or this crown. Maybe it's undeserving or whatever the case may be, but it may be too early for anyone. You know what I mean? Let them play their career out, and then let's judge.
Yeah.
Then let's judge. Staying with football. Matter of fact, before we even get into another topic, let us check the football scores. I know we got a lot of football going on today. The Giants are winning at Chicago. I'm sorry, they're beating Chicago in New York, 22-16. Pittsburgh is winning versus Cleveland. Cleveland is awful. Dallas is winning versus Baltimore.
Talk about it.
It's going down.
Talk about it.
Detroit is losing to Jacksonville. What is going on?
Oh, man.
We need to flip that. Buffalo's winning by 1. Let's see. I think that's about it. Some good late games coming on. Philadelphia versus Seattle. That's going to be interesting. Green Bay versus Washington. Philadelphia versus Seattle, Washington versus Green Bay later on. But it's a good day to watch basketball. To watch football. There's also some basketball on the day. We're going to get into that a little later. D, I know you're a Knicks fan. No, I'm sorry. You're a Nets fan now.
Yes. I
know you're a Nets
that
fan.
bridge.
Cross the bridge. We're going to get into them later.
Okay.
We're going to get into them.
Okay.
We're going to dig into that.
Okay.
The Knicks fans, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I got rid of that headache.
Knicks fans, I do not know what to tell you. You guys, I don't know.
I got rid of that headache and chased another headache.
I don't know. But let's stay on football before we spend too much. Let's stay on football. So this is something new that players are starting to do, and he's not the first. He definitely won't be the last. And I think in the course of, I'm thinking 15 years or so, you're going to start seeing a dramatic change in stuff like this happening. But Oklahoma Sooners defensive tackle Charles Whitaker left his college season early to start preparing for the NFL draft.
Wow.
Left his college season early. That is
wow.
That's crazy. Now, before we get in and talking about, the parameters or what's going on with that, he did have a concussion, or he was concussed, I believe, for a week or so at this time, and this was his third concussion of his career. Or whatnot. So, maybe he's feeling, I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt, maybe he's feeling like, listen, it's not worth it if I'm going to the next level. What's your thoughts on that?
I almost agree. I almost agree with that move, especially with the history, what you just said, with the concussion. Oklahoma is not in any running to win anything right now. I don't think so. Are they ranked? Are they even ranked right now?
Oklahoma? No, Alabama's number 1.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But is it about how good the team is, or is it about you being with the team?
I think, yeah. I hear that. I definitely hear that, and being with the team, and there's a certain sense of selfishness with that. But you know, your ultimate goal is to get to the next level, and you know, try to make a living doing what you're doing. I mean, that's why people train every day, all day, their whole lives to get to that level. And when it's right there, and you really don't want to jeopardize anything to get to that level. I was just watching the Ben Simmons documentary,
Okay.
One and Done, and that, you know,
I got to check that out.
Yeah, definitely check that out. That was good. And just talking about, you know, what you go through in college and the risk. There's so many risks that you take in college, you know, for little to nothing. Like people say their education is what pay, you know, you're getting your education and everything, but to be honest, you know, you're definitely risking a lot more, especially if you're a prospect that is almost guaranteed a chance to get to the next level. So
interesting.
Yeah, it is definitely, you know.
Well, here's the thing. All right, before I even give my point of view on it, I'm gonna give him some information on him. You know, minus the concussions and minus the fact that he, you know, potentially is a top pick of the NFL draft. He has a 2-year-old daughter, right?
Talk about.
So now you throw in that dynamic, right?
Yeah.
So you got health, you got family, and then you got potential, right? I agree with the fact that he should strongly look into his options as far as preparing for the draft. I just don't like the fact of him leaving the team. You know, I'm all about the loyalty. I'm all about it's got to be for the team. No man stronger than us. So if he's leaving the team, how does that make everyone else feel? And better yet, how does that trickle down to other guys? Well, Charles left the team. Well, next year is my year. I'm leaving it. You know, not you're starting something or he's starting something. Nah, a coach. I don't think a coach can sit up there and say, "Listen, you can't do that." I mean, most he can do is take away a scholarship, but at the end of the day, he don't care anyway because he's leaving. So, I mean, disciplining him is not necessarily going to happen. I'm not a fan of it, right? And the reason why, you know, I talk about it differently in basketball is because it's a different sport. There's different specifications at the pro level, you know, from a size standpoint, physical standpoint, and then your salaries. You know what I mean? Obviously, he's not getting a degree, at least not at this point in time, which we talked about last time about school versus sports and stuff like that. But just from a sports perspective and a teammate's perspective, I don't know how I would look at him if he just left. I don't know. I mean, I know the coaches are probably highly upset, but I don't know how I would see it. I mean, I think he only has 2 more games left anyway.
Yeah, well, would you rather him suit up and not play, or would you rather him play and risk another concussion that could possibly end his career altogether? What would you rather do? I mean, I think it's a case-by-case situation. You don't want to start a precedent. I see what you're saying as far as starting a precedent. But that's why you have to look at things in case-by-case situations, you know, like you said, with his family, as a lot of college athletes do have right now. They do have families. And but when you said the 3 concussions, I didn't know that. And that dynamic right there alone
can change it.
Yeah, you know that.
Right. Well, that's why, you know, you taking the 3 concussions, then you add the daughter. I understand maybe his mindset. He like, scratch this.
But I definitely agree with you as far as you don't want to start a precedent.
Yeah.
You don't want it to be.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But like I said, I think 10, 15 years down the line, I don't think players can go straight to the pros out of high school just from a physicality standpoint. I don't think that's going to happen. But I won't be surprised if maybe the rules change a little bit. Maybe you get some one-and-done guys in there. Or maybe you start doing like what the NBA guys was doing. They go overseas, maybe go play in some CFL for a year, the year or two. And then, I mean, you never know what it's going to lead to. But this is interesting. I think we're going to be visiting this for a little while.
AJ, can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
we live in a society now where money talks, right?
Mhm.
So
Absolutely.
how can we live in a society where money talks and everything around us is telling us that we have to go get the dollar in order to maintain in this society, but yet the NCAA is still stressing that you can do it without the dollar? I think the NCAA, and you can be politically correct, but I think the NCAA that's one of the biggest pimping situations.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely,
in this world.
Yeah, and we discussed that several times. Actually, we was having a good conversation when Coach Masiello, the head coach from Manhattan College, was here about the NCAA. And that was, a topic of discussion, a big topic of discussion. NCAA makes billions of dollars a year off of athletes, and we talked about whether athletes should be paid or not, and how it should work with one and dones or just skip college altogether. It's hard when you live in a society that is so focused on the almighty dollar to say I'm going to stay in college unpaid, or I'm going to go to college before. It's hard. I just think for some people, it's necessary for them to go through it, right? Maturity-wise, so many other I think it's necessary for them to go through it. I mean, honestly, I consider myself fairly mature, right? Now, I've been through my ups and downs, but if I was getting $80 million coming out of high school, whew, man, there's no way I would have $80 million today. There's absolutely no way. So, and not to say college did that for me. I think life experiences did that for me, but college did mature me a little bit. I'm away from my family. I'm away from my friends. I kind of got to fend for myself. You know what I mean? And it's harder when you don't have that stream of income. You don't have $1 million hitting your bank account every Friday. It's harder when you gotta make that call to mom and dad and be like, yo, I spent my money on this. I need a couple dollars, and then they gotta scold you about it. It's a little harder. You know what I mean? So I grew up in the sense that I understood of what the dollar meant. I understood of what it kind of feels like to be on my own. It's very hard. I mean, society puts a lot of pressure on, especially athletes. A lot of pressure, and we're going to get into some of society's pressures. Actually, let's talk about it right now.
Okay,
right?
Let's get into it.
Von Miller.
Von Miller.
Of course, everyone should know Von Miller. I think he was a Super Bowl MVP, right?
Yes, he was.
Super Bowl MVP. Had a phenomenal season last season. Is having a good season this year, or this season. He had a scandal. He's caught up in a scandal. Apparently, he went to out of the country on a vacation with some friends of his, some friends and some associates, I'm guessing now, of his. Had a little interaction, if we can use that on radio, interaction with a young female. Now the female is threatening to release some video of their interactions unless he pays $2.5 million.
Wow.
Okay. So before we even talk about it, more intangibles that I've read about on the story, apparently during their interaction, she was recording from her phone, right? And I'm gonna break down some of the key points that I don't understand. But she was recording from her phone. He noticed the recording, and he said, "Continue." He just said, "Make sure you don't show anybody." To some sort. Now I'm ad-libbing some of this, but this is where the gist of it. Don't show anybody, right? Keep it to yourself. He then, after the vacation, after everyone separated and went their own ways, he then called her and said, "Hey, I need you to destroy that." And that's when it went from, and I believe she said, okay, but from that point, it went to now she's hiring, attorneys to, send her tape places to try to get paid. I think she tried to sell it to TMZ. They denied it. Some other places, they turned it down. And then I guess she then lawyered up and went to him and said, "Listen, I need this or I'm releasing the tape." So since then, I think he's got some lawyers to ban her from releasing the tape, so on and so forth. Society, right? I don't understand it, why this is okay from an adult standpoint. You know what I mean? And this is not the first and surely won't be the last time, but why is it okay for you to blackmail this guy like that?
Extortion at its finest.
Let's take extortion is illegal. I'm not condoning extortion, but there are different levels to me. You know, if I find some information about the president, like, you know, he stole some Cheetos from the gas station. You know, that's one element, right? And maybe that doesn't make sense, but that's one element. But you intentionally go into a circumstance knowing that this is what you're trying to do. That I don't understand. I don't understand why is it okay for her to do this and get away with it. Now, in the article I was reading, apparently she wants to be of, and I verbatim, I believe, Kim Kardashian fame. Kim Kardashian, of course, is a celebrity who some people may say, or most people may say, got famous off of a sex scandal, a sex video with Ray J. And there's been several people who have tried or who have attempted or have succeeded at achieving this kind of fame through these, parameters. I just don't understand, why is it okay?
Well, at this point, I heard a quote not too long ago, and it may be true in some instances, not all instances, but the quote was this: behind every great fortune was a great crime. And
that's deep.
This is the world we live in, and when there is so much emphasis on the dollar, people will get that dollar by any means. By any means. If that means blackmailing or extorting or trying to, get it however they can get it.
But that goes back to society putting so much pressure on the money.
Absolutely. Well, it is what it is.
Are there morals included in this? Are there values included in this?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's opposite. People say, the dollar is the root of all evil, and I hear that, a lot. But there is no more when you're trying to become rich and famous. When you're chasing riches and fame, that right there, there is no guidelines, there is no borderlines. It's fair game. It's fair game to everybody.
Now, are you saying that as in generalizing it, or is that the way you feel as well?
Oh, no. I mean, well, I have morals. I have morals, and I really, to be honest, I'm very much against the grain. I don't put as much emphasis on the dollar bill as maybe others, but with me having those type of views, that's against the grain in the society that we live. So people say, if you're not talking to me about money, then don't talk to me at all. This is the conversations that we have, and I really don't believe in that. I put more value on relationships and value on just health and wealth all together. But as far as riches and fame, I've never really gravitated towards that. So I'm just saying this is society. I'm not really speaking for myself.
I think the end game for most people is either or both, but either to be rich or famous.
Really?
I think. I mean, who wants to be broke? Who wants to be unknown? I think at the end game, if you go to school for 10 years and you come out to be a doctor, I mean, ultimately you can go help people in the third world country for free and not get paid. So you becoming a doctor to do the thing, I assume, for not just to help people, but also the money as well. Okay. You want to get paid for your services.
Okay.
And fame is fame. I mean, I think those are the two things people aspire to achieve ultimately in their lifestyle. In their life, I mean, and that's just how I feel. I don't, and there are a lot of people who do things out of the kindness of their heart, and that goes without being said. A lot of people give back. A lot of people donate their time, their energy into doing things that they receive no money from, and that's great as well. But I think most of the people in our society are looking for a kickback on the things they do.
Absolutely. Now, so why do you seem surprised that there are no morals involved in certain cases? when people are chasing
I'm not surprised that let's use this case specifically. I'm not surprised that this is happening. I'm just surprised that this is okay. You know, there's no I'm not hearing any backlash on the woman. I'm not hearing anything like she should not do. You know what I mean? It's almost kind of like, okay, she's doing it. Let's move on. Let's report it and move on. You know what I mean? It's not like, and this has happened actually a lot over the last 6 months. You know, Ezekiel Elliott was one. Von Miller's another. And there's a few other people that, you know, and I'm talking about just a man versus woman kind of thing, that someone has lied on them about, and then it's come out that, you know, they're either extorting them or lying, or I don't understand why this is okay.
I'm gonna tell you what it does do. You know, the women that do that, that hurts other women that may have actually gone through. You know, me and my wife had a good discussion about that. You know, when you're dealing with rape or anything of that nature, it puts a certain stigma on the male, whether they're innocent or guilty, and the woman, you know, they say she may be a liar or she may be telling the truth. But if she is lying, that hurts all of the women that may have gone through that.
Absolutely. And it makes these guys a little more precautious of who they're bringing around.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, and rightfully so, as you should. You're a rich and famous athlete. You have so much notoriety and celebrity. You can only assume that someone at some point of your career or life is going to try you, you know, whether to extort you or take advantage of you in some kind of way. You got to understand that. So it's just hard being him. I mean, a lot of people want the riches and the fame, but they don't understand what comes with it.
More money, more problems.
More money, more problems. Here's one for our female audience that they may like it. The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, was voted sexiest man alive.
Okay.
I know I was up in a running. I don't know what the tally was at the end, but he won, so congrats.
Wow. Okay.
But he was voted Sexy Man Alive by People Magazine. For those who don't know, The Rock, I think he's more well known for his after athletic career. You know, he's a very well-deserved actor. You know, he's been in a lot of good movies, doing some really big things in the entertainment industry. He's also, you know, before that, he was a big-time name on WWE, a wrestling network. And before that, he was actually a football player, and that's how we tie into the sports element. He was a football player and won the national championship in 1991 with University of Miami. The U. So it's a much well-deserved. He's had a phenomenal career. I watched him in my quick window of becoming a wrestling fan. I watched him a little bit. You know, and he seems like a great guy. He's doing some really good things out in the world. So congrats to him. But I'm definitely gonna send in, you know, something that I need to figure out where I was at on that list.
Yeah. Do some investigating.
Yeah, I need to do some investigating. Handle that. Before we switch gears, because we're going to get into some other stuff minus football. Before we switch gears, I don't know how I feel about this next topic.
Just shoot.
D, I'm having trouble, D.
Okay.
I'm having trouble.
What else is new?
My U of M Michigan football.
Oh man. Talk about
U of M. They almost lost to a very bad team yesterday.
Oh man, that was tough.
Almost
to
lost.
see.
Pulled it out, but they almost lost. Almost lost. University of Michigan has hired or had hired head coach Jim Harbaugh from San Francisco 49ers a couple years ago, and they are on a rampage since he's been there.
Yeah.
His overall record as coach to date is 20-4. 20-4. Now they gave this man the house, the garage, the kitchen sink, the keys to the couch. They gave him everything, and it's deserving. They're 10-1 this season. I think they took a loss last week to Iowa. But here's my question: is it okay, right? And we're going right back to the NCAA thing. Is it okay to pay coaches so much money and give them so much and not give the players anything?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
No, why do you say that?
I am an advocate for the student athlete. The 80,000 people that come into the University of Michigan to watch that game every Saturday afternoon are not watching Harbaugh coach. They're watching the action. They're watching the action on that football field. Now, granted, Jim Harbaugh plays a part in that, but they're not sitting there talking about, oh, look how Jim Harbaugh took off his headphones and screamed at the. That's not why 80,000 are coming to Michigan. They're coming to watch Jabril Peppers and everybody else that's doing what they came to do. And I think the coaches should get something, but I kind of it doesn't sit well with me that the coaches get so much credit and so much riches. And the student athletes are just fed
nothing, right? Now, I may have to disagree with you in regards to people coming. I think this. I think when he was initially hired, people wanted to see what he was going to be about. I think people bought into them hiring him, and they wanted to see him in action. Now I think that it's a year past. Now they're watching Michigan football again. I mean, I think Michigan football fell off the face of the earth. A couple years ago, and now they're back to being, I think they're number 3 in the nation right now, and I think that's purely based off what he can bring to the table.
Granted, a good coach is deserving of whatever they deserve.
Okay.
The same way a great player should be deserving of what they deserve.
Okay.
The end.
Is that it?
I think the coaches are getting what they deserve. I think the players aren't. The end. Yeah.
The end. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's take a quick break and come back, and then we'll talk some more about all of this stuff. But today, we're having a good day today, D. Having a good day. We haven't disagreed much today, so we're having a good day. We'll be right back after these few notes.
Together now, we can make it better now. Come on, can we do it?
Yeah, you know that we can.
We rope it up,
cause we know how to jump.
We roll it out,
we know how to skate.
We'll cut it down,
cause we know what to eat.
We'll swap it out.
We eat healthy stuff.
Just moving a little and eating better every day can help make you and your kids healthier. Search We Can online to find doable tips and activities that you can use every day. That's We Can, a message from the Ad Council, HHS, and NIH's We Can program.
Nurse, set up an IV. And you, her boyfriend, you were the driver?
Yes, doctor, but I didn't mean to hurt her. I only had a few drinks. I was just buzzed.
Just buzzed? Oh, then your girlfriend is fine.
Hey, sweetie. I feel great.
She's really okay?
What, are you kidding? No, not really. Nurse, get me a suture kit. Stat.
Buzzed driving. Maybe we should stop acting like it's no big deal. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Transportation and the Ad Council.
This is the sound of E. coli splashing around in raw hamburger juice on your cutting board.